Hopefully her sound is
I
off.
am my.
Here come the mosquitoes.
I have the off thing.
Yeah,
Do you want
it's
some?
not that. No, I'm
Do you
good.
want spray? You want me to go grab it really quick?
No, I'm good.
Wow.
You're not gonna be nice. You're not gonna be on here.
Maybe I'll just keep those 11 mini brands for myself.
You got her mini brands, Bonnie?
I did. I found 11 at Target, or no, I mean, I find 15. I found 15 at Target today.
Whoa.
And I'm giving, she's getting 11 of them. Yep. And Carolyn, if you guys could have heard her, because there was a lady asking me what these were and
Right.
like what I don't, and she's going, "Oh my gosh, don't tell her! Don't be telling anybody." Maddie's holding the phone. I was like, "Oh, no." The lady's like, "I don't want them. I'm just wondering what they are."
They're not. They're nothing. They're horrible. You don't want them. Yeah. Okay, so we should be live. I'm just gonna see if the chat's coming.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Do you see the chat coming on?
Yes, I do.
You do.
You know what? How come all of a sudden
What?
I can be on? Oh, never mind. What? But I'm in Zoom still, right?
Yeah, you're in Zoom.
How am I in YouTube at the same time on my phone? Because I'm in the chat too.
Hi, Whisper to Me. Hi, Teacup. Hi, Tabby. Hi, Dawn Marie. Hi, Janae. Hi, Brenda. Brenda, were you going to come on? I don't know. I thought let me know. The number's in there. Pia, this is so embarrassing, but I am lost. I'm in the dark. Oh, you have the app. Okay, let me see. Well, you're in Slack, but there, do you see the number in Slack or the grief management group, Pia? Because the number to come on here is in there. The link, you could just click on it. Hi, Nana Patty. Hi, Nanette. Hi, Little Dove. Just let me know if you see it, Pia, because you are in the group. I just saw it said Pia is in there. So if you go to Slack, you should see the grief management group.
Excuse me.
Hi, Chatty.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that sounds a little better. Let me hear you say something again.
Okay, now I'm speaking, but I don't have anybody's picture.
Okay, well, that's much better. At least we can hear you.
That's good, yes.
But you can you, oh, there's your video. So now you have it. Okay,
Okay,
good, much better.
thank you. I get so nervous with this technology stuff.
Oh, yeah, I know. Hi, Lori. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Nana Patty. Okay, so Pia, just let me know if you can see that. You're trying, but you keep going in. Oh, and loops. Do you see the link for Zoom? Because you can click on that and then just launch from your browser. No, you don't see it. Okay, send me an email and I'll send it to you directly. Just shoot me an email right now and I'll send it directly to you. Okay, not to, I just wanted to make sure, Brenda, because I. Okay. Get the link. Yeah, just send me an email, Pia, and I'll send it to you. All right, let's see. Carolyn, I think the first link is this. And Lori, I know you're trying to get in. The first link was sent. When I downloaded it, nothing happened. I logged into the account and now I'm at a large white screen that has a multicolored square on the top left corner. Am I in the correct spot? I'm really computer challenged. Okay, hold on. Lori, just try to click on that link that I just sent you and not worry about Slack. Just go into Zoom. Oh, okay. Pia, you're Lori? Yes, okay, now I get it. I totally get it now. Okay. 1 second. Let's see. Yeah, Pia, I just sent it to you. Just go to the website link and then it'll hit launch. Where it says right under join Zoom meeting. Okay, now let's see. Hi, Faithful One. Hi, the Bryan Clan. I think my chat is
They
frozen.
want to, oh, I thought they wanted to see.
Laura's back.
Laura's back, yeah. And we're just waiting for Pia to get in. Carolyn, I just emailed you. I will explain.
I am my.
Oh, okay, Cindy. Did you want to get on or? Hi, Sam.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's see if Pia can get on. Well, thanks for coming, everybody. So if you want to just introduce yourself, say hi and who you are, as everybody likes to know. You could start, Bonnie, and just go across the, I mean, I see it across. Hopefully everybody's.
I only see 4 people.
Uh-oh.
You only see 4 people?
Me
I'm on my
too.
cell phone, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah,
Nikki, do you
I
have,
can see everybody if I scroll.
you know what it is? Do you have,
What?
you have gallery view on?
I don't know how to do that.
Do you see like speaker view and up above in the corner? But you're on your, I don't know, I'm on a,
Has a speaker over there and then leave. Participants. More meeting setting. Minimize meeting.
In the upper right, you should see like 6 little dots up in the upper right corner of the screen. No?
It says leave on mine.
Yeah, me too.
On my cell.
Oh, you're in your cell. Okay, I'm sorry.
On down below it has dots that say more.
And then can you choose gallery view or cell view or no?
Meeting setting. Let me see.
Bryan Clan.
hi, Ulala.
All right, just start and I'll just scroll back and forth.
Okay. No, yeah, so you just want to say your, well, hold on.
Website.
Stop. Oh my gosh, stop. My internet is like so ridiculously slow lately. Now, because I can't even, I'm just trying to see if I can pull up, because I can't even now see the, oh, here we go. I think it's coming up finally, so I can see the chat and the video to make sure what it looks like. But, let's see here. Oh, there comes somebody. Who's that? Alicia.
You guys watch yourself on YouTube? Is there a delay?
Oh, there's a very big delay. Don't do
Oh
it
my gosh,
because
it's
it'll
so weird.
drive you nuts.
Mute yourself when you're going to
Yeah.
do that.
Drive you completely nuts. My stupid thing isn't even playing now. All right, I'm just gonna have to look at the chat. Can anybody see the view on you? Okay, I think everyone's showing because now I can see I am in this one. Okay. All right,
I
excellent.
see, yeah, 5.
Yeah, I see Tammy, Bonnie, Kim, Laura,
Leisha, no.
Ellen.
And Wilowick and Leisha.
We're just waiting for Pia. She's got that.
You don't see.
That's all I see. Oh, that's Zoom. Here.
She's in chat. She said she's downloading Zoom now, but Pia, you don't have to do that. You can click where it says launch from your browser, and then you don't have to download anything because that can take a while. And
Hello?
Hi.
Hi, Mom. It's Leisha.
Hi, Leisha. How are you?
I'm okay. I've been doing yard work, so I'm barefoot, and it's my element. It grounds me beyond. It's your lake. My yard is your lake.
That's good. That's good for you then. Yeah.
It's very good for me, and I'm not able to do it every day, so it must be my birthday or something. No, it's your birthday. You have to have like a birthday week. It's your birthday month. You know, you got to milk it for all you can.
Yeah, right. Okay, is that Pia?
And you're so loved that we want to like bestow gifts upon you all month, of course, naturally.
Sure.
Pia, you got in. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yay. Oh, she's connecting to the audio. Okay, good.
Am I on video? I just see you. I don't see me at all.
No, you just have a box that says your name. You have to activate your video.
Is it like black? Is it annoying? Can I leave it or is it annoying?
No, I mean, it's not annoying. It's just a black box with your name.
As long as it's not like doing the seizure causing max headroom look that it usually does.
Oh, okay. No,
You know how I have the picture
oh,
up
yeah,
and
with
then,
your thing that flashes? No,
and
it's
then I peek in.
not doing that at all.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how that did that, but okay.
Okay, so this is different than the last time. I mean, does anybody want to share first? Or I mean, you don't have to, you could just say anything you want about your journey, whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with. And I think that'll just get it rolling.
Okay, may I start, please? Because I have quite a list.
Sure.
Thank you so much. My name is Laura, and I've gone through many losses. My first loss, my baby girl, my first baby, she was born March 23rd of 73 and died a week later of, there's an opening in the middle of the heart that's supposed to close when they're 24 hours old. Hers never closed.
Oh,
She wasn't getting the proper oxygen through her body. She died a week after she was born.
so sorry to hear that.
And even though it's 40 plus years, the pain is still there. You carried that person, that little one, that miracle for 9 months. You felt it kicking inside of you, and it hurts even 40 plus years later. The second death that I experienced was my son. He was born on March 24th of 85, and he passed away on March 25th of 85. He had diaphragmatic hernia, which caused his lungs not to progress in growth. So we dealt with that. April 14th of 2009, I lost my 34-year-old daughter. Her name was Angel, and she's definitely my angel in heaven. In September 19th of, it was 3 years ago, 2017, I lost her son, my angel's son, in a motorcycle accident. Now, my daughter Angel she passed in 2009. That was April 14th. 23 days before her death, my father passed away, March 1st. A month later, my mom passed away April 4th of 2009. My sister passed away last year, March 22nd. And when my sister passed away, I went through a horrible, horrible grieving session, because when my children passed away, when my daughter passed away and my grandson passed away, I held everything in so I could be strong for my other children. I would not cry in front of them. I would save all my tears for my pillow. But when my sister died, I picked up all that grieving, 10 years plus, 4 years, and my children said that I scared them the way I was crying and acting. And you would think I would act that way when my children died, but I think because I didn't grieve properly when I lost quite a few of my family members, when my sister passed, I think that just lit the candle, and the candle lit the dynamite, and I just let loose on the inside. On March 25th of this year, Angel's husband took his life. He couldn't live without his wife. And 11 years after her passing, he couldn't take it anymore. He took his own life. So I have a whole slew of losses. Everyone goes through losses. And people say it gets better. You learn how to deal with it. That's the words to use, because your pain does not get better. You learn to look at that empty chair at a holiday gathering. You learn to bring pictures of your loved ones to celebrations that you have, so you can keep them involved in whatever celebration you're having or whatever. And Carolyn, I want to say I was listening to the broadcast when you got that phone call. And then the days after the things that you've posted, my heart broke for you. I cried for you because I know that pain. Keep that loved one near. Let me tell you something. I always know that my angel is there because she's always sending hearts, pennies. In front of my garage, ladies, there was a stack of pennies. It looked like somebody just took a bucket and dumped them in front of my garage door. And she's always sending signs letting us know that she's there. And Carolyn, I don't know if you received any, or if any of you ladies have received signs, but those signs are so comforting. I know you were talking about cardinals, Carolyn. There's so many different signs that come. Take them, hold on to them, don't let them go. And I pray for everyone in this group that has lost someone.
We are praying for you too, Laura. That's a tremendous amount of loss that you've gone through. I feel for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that.
You're muted, Bonnie. All right.
Yeah. Oh, is it my turn?
I'm sorry, my story was so long, but
no, I know. I just did.
You know, and the thing is, one time I was visiting my daughter's grave, and I was just sitting there, and this was back when I was smoking. I'm going 9 months without a cigarette.
Congratulations.
After 50 plus years, but I was sitting there, and I was sharing a cigarette with her, and some lady came up and she said, Angelina, what a wonderful, and I said, oh, I just lit up. I was so excited. My daughter? And she said, no, but I see her headstone and everyone coming to visit. And it's so wonderful. Please believe this. And that when somebody comes up to you, it doesn't matter how long ago it was, and they say your loved one's name or whatever, and accept it. I'm telling you, hang on to it, because that is so wonderful. And there's people that when you want to talk about, like, I'm a talker. When something's bothering me, I talk it out. And you know, days are there where I just talk it out. And there's some people that just, but it's about it, you know. I mean, that was a person in your life. That was a loved one. That was, whether it be a child, a father, a mother, a sister, a brother, you know, that's a loved one. We're holding on to every bit of love that they gave us and the love that we gave them. I'm sorry for so long.
No,
No.
no, not at all. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Who else, does someone else want to? Bonnie, you want to talk, or?
Can I listen to one more person and then?
Yeah, Kim, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, I will. Although now I feel like what she had to say wasn't long at all. So I hope I don't get too winded. But like many of us, I was on the night of the call came in, and like many of us have had a lot of loss. And I shared some comments. I don't comment a lot, but I shared some comments maybe from a different perspective. And a lot of people said that they appreciated and learned something from my perspective. So my story comes from a place that I'm hoping will shed some light on the power of what happens the minute we get those calls, and how it affects the rest of your life and every single person around you. So, and talk about signs, Carolyn. So I had sent Carolyn an email with my story a couple weeks ago, I guess. And today, actually, we were emailing, and she asked if I wanted to be on the panel. And today is the 50th anniversary that my brother passed. Now, so that's a sign, right? I guess it was meant to be. Now, so let me just take you down the trail here. I was 5. My parents, my brother was 3 at the time, and we lived in the country, where an irrigation ditch ran in front of everyone's houses, and everyone's houses had a bridge to go across to go to the gravel road. Then you know, right out of your area. We had horses. The neighbor kids had horses. We were always outside playing. My dad was a long haul truck driver. He was never home except for the weekends. And my mom was home. This particular day, we were next, my brother's name is Corey, with a K. This particular day, we were next door playing, and a little, some little bit insight. My parents had every kind of abusive, emotional, verbal, sexual, physical, all of the abuse was going on from the day I was born. And so I was the big sister. I was the protector. Okay. My mom came out and called us for lunch. And I ran to the house, and my mom asked, "Where's Corey?" And I didn't know. And she just took off running. And she ran across the bridge down the gravel road. And I followed her. And I can't explain to you how vivid this memory is from age 5. I'm running and I see his trike, it's red. And my mom jumped in and pulled him out of the water. And of course, I really didn't understand, right? I don't understand what's happening. And a car came, this white car, and we got in, and we went to the hospital. And of course, he had swallowed, my mom, as when I was older to learn, he had swallowed a lot of mud, and of course he had passed before we found him. Now, in 1 second, my brother died, forever changing my life for many, many reasons. For changing my daughter's life, and she wasn't even born yet. What do I mean by that? The mother that raised me and the father that raised me were forever different the minute he died. You see, I grieve for the mom I would have had, because she was forever changed. You see, and when I was listening, when that call came in, as I had watched Carolyn, what I have been watching, and not watching, you know what I mean, coming to a place of is for those around you still, because these are the things that shaped me. And I'm so thankful that Carolyn has shared with us that she is going to counseling, and the siblings are going to counseling. Because you see, now my brother was gone and I was this young child. I went to the funeral. I saw him. I didn't understand where he was. I just knew he wasn't coming home. My parents, and I think this is not a surprise, it was the best thing that could have happened, but couples will either come closer or they will go apart, because yes, they blamed. My mom blamed my father. She said, I told you the kids were going to fall in, to put up the fence every single weekend, and he came home and he was tired, he didn't do it, right? And this is what happened. And so they got divorced. Again, you know, my mother died, that triggered, my parents got divorced, and my mom and I moved away, and my dad was basically out of my life. No contact, really, not at all. My mom tried to commit suicide within a year. And so then we moved with my grandparents, and lived with them for a while. And now, for me personally, from the day Corey died until 3rd grade, nothing. I have no memory, nothing. I don't think, none of this is uncommon, right? So I think all the power of all of us sharing is, if you have feelings of some of these things, don't think it's not normal, because what is crazy about grief is whether, and I haven't lost a child, but I have lost many. But grief is as unique as our fingerprints, and it is ours, and it is no one else. One can tell you how long to grieve, or if it gets better, or if it, you know, all of that, right? Everybody's story is okay. So my mom is suicide, my parents got divorced, with my grandparents, on and off conversation with my dad a little bit. Then my mom, I was about 13. So also, while I was growing up with my mom, guess what? She wouldn't let me out of her sight. I couldn't go to friends' houses. Nope. No sleepovers, no nothing. I was smothered. And because I was now the only child, I had to be perfect. Now, this is the mother that I got, that raised, that I don't know what she would have been like before then, right? I only know the one that I had, but she was impacted. And so then she didn't date at all. Then about 13, she decides to get married. I'm 13. Can you imagine? I had never shared my mom. So what did I do? I told her to go to hell. I told her to go to hell. And I left, and I said, oh, I'm going to go live with my dad, because no matter what your parents, some people tell you, right? I didn't know him. So I was just going to go, and it hurt her. I was hurting her because she was hurting me. And I left. Now, my grandparents, so now at this time of my life, I had gone to 4 more funerals. Believe it or not, at age 13, I still had 2 great grandparents living, which is pretty crazy. So I went to my great grandparents, you know, and that was sad, but obviously not, you know, not as close. And then I had 2 grandparents pass. So by the time I was 13, I had gone to like 6 funerals of family members, right? It's pretty crazy. So I lived with my dad. My dad was extremely horrible person. My life could be on Dateline, right? I had a stepsister. He was sexually abusing her. I called the police on him, whatever. So then I am now about in a freshman in high school, sophomore in high school. Now, also something every year, and this goes to the mothers and fathers and anyone who asks you this. But again, I guess I'm speaking from the person, how I was impacted as a living person still. You see, every anniversary, my mom looked at me and said, Kim, where were you? Where were you? And I've never forgotten the day I was a junior in high school and I looked back at her and I said, I was a child. Don't ask me where I was. You see, but so this impact of my brother's death, still 16 years later, right, is affecting the people that lived. And there were so many times when I felt like Corey had it made. He left this world. And when I was having hard times, struggles with my mom, when my mom was having hard times, I would say that he had it made. He didn't have to deal with all of this, right? He got to leave. Now I'm a junior in high school. My mom gets cancer. She's 37. But she's like, oh, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Now, when my mom, that was right when I turned 17. I went to college when I was 17. I was young, but I went to school 4 hours away. And in those 4 years, I drank like a fish. The first year I drank, I had in high school, yeah, I had a couple, but not like when I went to college. And at the time, I didn't realize what I was doing. You know, years later, I know I was an alcoholic. I was drinking to hide my grief because, sorry, I'm skipping ahead. So my mom got sick when she was 37 and I was still in, so I was 17. Yes. So go to college and I was drinking and everything else. And then you see, my mom hid everything from me. She didn't tell me how bad it was. She didn't want me to know. And not until she was, I got a call from my stepfather and he said, you need to come home for the summer. And my mom was in the hospital. And I did, I came home and that was the summer before my senior year of college. And I walked in the hospital room and she looked at me and she didn't look bad, but she kept saying, Kim, I'm going to be fine. Everything's fine. You know, everything's fine. Well, she never left the hospital. I spent every night that summer in that hospital. But see, there's times in between this that I was angry at Corey. I was angry at him and angry at my mom sometimes because my mom would say to me through the years, multiple times, Kim, I saw Corey last night in my dreams. And one time when I was about 19, she said, I reached out to him, but he said, not your time. She said, I wanted to be with him. I wanted to be with him. Yes, my mom wanted to be with him, but you know what I was saying? What about me? What about me? I'm right here. I need my mom. Why do you want to be with him? And so you see, I was angry at him. Why does she want to be with you? And she didn't acknowledge me. So I guess my message is don't forget those that are around you because they need you. They're still here. And, you know, at the time my mom lost a boy, my brother, I didn't know. I couldn't know what it felt like as a mother, right? Unfortunately, so I stayed with my mom that summer. Even in her near death, she heard a baby crying and my mom died of ovarian cancer. She was full of morphine. She couldn't get up. She couldn't have a conversation with me anymore. She heard a baby in the hallway and that woman got out of that bed and she was screaming, my baby, my baby. And guess what I did? I got up to her bedside and I was screaming, I'm right here. And she looked at me and she said his name. And she hadn't said a word. No. I'm very happy that she has his memories. But again, do you see, can you imagine how it felt to be me? I wasn't what she wanted. I wasn't the right person. I wasn't him. But so my mom, I had to go back to college. School was starting. I had a year left. And my stepdad said, Kim, you need to go. You'll be gone a couple days. She won't even know, and I'll be back. All right. I left. And the next day, the call came, and he said, you need to find some friends. My mom died because she knew I wouldn't be able to handle it. She waited till I left. I know that. I know that. And now, as Carolyn has talked about her faith, you know, we also bring up things and tell ourselves things in order to get through, in order to accept this. We have to tell ourselves things, right? Now, I was still young. I was college age, but I had faith, and but I wanted to believe. The only thing that was going to get me through all of this was that she was with him, because of all the years that she wanted and told me she wanted to be with him. The last thing I could now live with is that they aren't together, right? They have to be. She's left me, and she wanted to be with him, and the only thing that gets me through is that she is with him. So I actually went to my pastor at my church, and I asked him, are they together? I need to know. And you know, we talked about faith and everything, and I had to believe it. I had to believe it. And so now I'm in the position of why am I here? Now, again, no relationship with my dad. I'm going to fast forward because I'm rambling, ramblers. My dad and I, he was a horrible person. We had no relationship. I kept in touch because my cousins would give me a heads up about what's going on in his life. 3 years ago, I got the call from my cousin, Kim, you need to see your dad. He's not well. He's having some tests, he might have cancer, yada. So then I got the call, yeah, he was in the hospital, he was sick. And thank you to the people in the chat. So now my dad is sick, and I haven't seen him in maybe 10 years. And I'm angry at him because he was a horrible person and my angels left me. Why did my brother have to die? Why didn't he die? You know, we all feel that way, right? About the horrible people in this world that we talk about in these killings. But I kept telling myself, can I live with myself if I don't go see him? I had to think about me. And for myself, I went to see him in the hospital, and he was still, you know, at the point I first saw him, he was fine. He was not on a lot of, you know, tubes or anything. And I brought, you know what I did is I gathered every picture of my brother I could find. And I did it, and I brought them with me. And you know, what came of that is that I really discovered my purpose. What I've realized, I feel like my purpose, why I was born. I was first born, but I believe I was born because Corey was going to die. Because if we believe that our lives are already mapped out by God, if you believe that, if you're Christian or whatever faith, if you believe that, then my mom needed me because she couldn't deal with the loss of him. She needed me to focus on. That's why I believe why I was born. And my dad, I showed him those pictures and he cried. And he told me that he loved my mom and me. This is the same man that told me on the phone when I was a young child that he could, if he saw my mother, he would shoot her. He would shoot her in cold blood in the middle of the street and think nothing of it. Yeah, that's my father. But what I learned in those last days with him, and I stayed with him again 2 months every night in his room. what I learned is that that man, my mom held me too close for fear of losing me. My dad pushed me away and stayed away because he couldn't stand the thought of losing me. And he was feeling guilty. He drank, and he was a horrible person, living with himself with the guilt that he blamed himself. That if he would have just put up the fence, my brother wouldn't have died. And so the man that I met in that hospital was different. I understood a little bit because now I'm an adult, right? And I forgave him. I'll never understand, but I saw love in his eyes, and for the first time, I knew that he did love his kids, and so I was glad. And I woke up, and the room was quiet, and I didn't hear his oxygen, and I screamed, "It's too quiet! It's too quiet!" And he was gone. He was gone. And now I was 51. I'm turning 55 this year. And I'm all alone. Why? If we say that God takes, if only how the song goes, only the good die young, then why am I here? Am I that bad of a person? Why has God taken everyone from me? And I'm sorry. You see, people have lost way more people than I have in their life. But it doesn't matter if you've lost 1 or 100. Grief is the loss of your pets. It's the loss of anything in life and what you are left with. And so you see, I am still now this adult person trying to figure out, did I do the right things? I had to pick all her funeral stuff. And I was mad. Where was my brother? Why did I have to go through this alone? I shouldn't have to plan my mom's funeral by myself, right? I went through it again with my dad. My brother wasn't there, so I was mad. So you see, there is so many feelings, not sad, but you're angry. And guess what? And like Laura said, yes, it gets easier, but I have family that they get angry with me that today bothers me. Still, it doesn't get easier, it gets harder because I'm alone now. I need him. Your parents are supposed to be gone before your siblings. And I don't have nieces and nephews, and I'm mad. Because I hate holidays because no one is there. Everyone has family. Siblings. I have none. I have no nieces, no nephews. I have a daughter. And guess what? She's 28 and she's beautiful and wants nothing to do with me. Why? Oh, because everyone around me dies young. And so she thinks if she stays away, she'll be fine. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Kim. Yeah.
Oh, no. And so, my message is that because my brother died, you see, because of that, all these things happened. And so it is so much more than that event. And guess what? Do I do good in relationships? No, because I'm afraid of what? They're going to leave me. Yes. Yeah. So I'm very thankful to you, Caroline, for taking care of your family through counseling.
Mhm.
Those things didn't happen 50 years ago.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for everything you've gone through, and thank you for sharing that, and definitely be praying for you, and hopefully your daughter will come around, and I just there's so much. Have you tried to go to counseling with her and just have?
Yeah, I mean, there is more to it. Again, there's because of my coping mechanisms with the loss of my life. She tells me that I'm too intense of a person. Now, when I'm around her, I'm too intense, and I'm a very passionate person. I have gone to counseling, and guess what? I've learned, and I do feel it, is that I have such a sense of urgency, you see, and I didn't realize that. So when I'm in, like, I'm not, even when I was younger, after my mom passed, immediately I knew I can't wait to do things till I'm retired. I might not live. And especially when my mom died at 42, I was certain I was going to die at 42. I mean, that's just what's going to happen. And so everything in my life is, I'm so afraid there isn't going to be enough time, that I am hyper aware of that. And I'm intense. That's the word my daughter uses. I'm intense. And I'm a type A personality, right? I'm high career successful, doing all that. And she is as laid back as it gets. So because of our different personalities, it's also challenging. But again, I think we also have to look at, like I said, there are personality traits that I have because of this. And so I grieve for the father I would have had my brother not died. I grieve for me. I grieve for the person that I am today. I grieve for the mother, the daughter that I am. I grieve for the person that I would have been had my brother not died.
Yeah. Well,
Carolyn, I was late, so I don't know what the rules of like feedback are. So I don't want to like give feedback to people when it's not time, but I also don't want to leave people hanging. Like, I'm usually want to give words of support to people. What did you give us direction for that?
We didn't have that, just, like mute when someone else is speaking, because otherwise there's a lot of background noise and it gets noisy. But if you want to say something to Kim, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say something. And who was the previous caller before that?
Laura?
Laura and Kim?
Yes.
I just, Laura and Kim, this is Leisha. I just want to really honor both of you, and actually everyone on the panel, and Mommy, for your bravery, your courage, and your vulnerability. That is so strong. To cry, to show your vulnerability is stronger than having the biggest muscles and braving through the scariest thing. And I just want to honor that and thank you for sharing with us, because it's a risk, and I appreciate that. And Carolyn, I appreciate you creating this safe space for everybody, and I appreciate you opening up your loss, your process, I just really want to honor everybody, because it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. And I know how our families and friends can try to, in wanting to make us feel better, can make it feel like they're minimizing it or discounting it or, positiving it away, and, oh, just give it to God, or just choose love, or just be positive. No, sometimes we're angry. And I just really want to honor people saying, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm whatever it is, because we're socialized not to have those feelings. And it's important. You have to feel all of them. And oh my gosh, my heart just goes out. And Laura, or who's the caller that just spoke? Laura?
Yeah, Laura.
You know what? I also want to honor that growing up with all of that is different than having loss later in life when our brain is formed and whatnot. And I just really, I feel your pain, and I honor. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be angry, women. And let's not, we get chided and socialized into being, a good girl, blah, blah, blah. Be angry. Feel it.
You're angry.
Anyway.
And that's what I had to learn. And I'll tell you, there's a book Beyond the Tears that really helped me. It's about 9 women that met through Compassionate Friends. And because that's the thing. I was so angry and
yes.
And just, saying stuff. And then there'd be people that, I like to call it trolley people too, that said horrible things, or that said, oh, you can't come on, if you're coming on and doing crafts and you're smiling, you can't be that bad, or you know, like just horrible things. And when I read with these women, you know, like the anger that they had, and, you know, there was one thing, you know, when I said I screamed in my car, and somebody said, wow, you shouldn't do that, that you're a danger to yourself and everyone on, you know, I'm just like, what?
That's horrible.
So, and every one of these mothers said the places they went, because they didn't want to do this in front of their kids and stuff, so they screamed in the car or they did it in the shower. And, you know, just reading that and having that validated, some people mean well, but they don't know about it. And other people are just nasty, like on YouTube. Some people, you know, like for the most part, people are very, very supportive, but I'm saying like from other channels, just to be nasty, they'll say something. And so that was really helpful to me to have that validated. And I needed it validated because there were so many emotions that I didn't know, and I didn't, all this anger that was coming out, and, you know, all this stuff. So I think reading books, and especially for whatever your loss is, if you've lost your brother or if you lost whatever, you know, as a child, try to find something as close to that, and you read accounts of that. I just know it helped me tremendously.
What was the name of the book?
This is Beyond the Tears.
Beyond the Tears. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, what's interesting is what was the catalyst for me, and I'm not going to go into my story, I'm just going to relate it to what you're saying. I was a nanny, so I have 3 little kids that are like my kids. I don't have my own children. Mm-hmm. And when my kind of loss started, big loss, I was trying to hide it from them. Like Jane was probably 6, and then Reed was like 4, and the other one was a newborn. And their mom said, no, Alicia, they need to know that these are real feelings. Loss happens. And she had lost her mother. And she said, it's okay to cry in front of them. It's okay. They can see anger. They can see sadness. And because sometimes we want to just shield children, you know, and to their detriment, or even to ours, like we're stifling it, or, you know, granted, you have to pick and choose when you're going to share whatever. But it was very helpful because we're role modeling. We're role modeling how to deal with grief and loss and anger and sadness and rage and depression, whatever it is. And sometimes, and you can feel gratitude and anger at the same time. I'm grateful every time I feel any type of anger or sadness or whatever. Immediately my inner critic is like, you should be grateful you can still see, you still have a car, you still have a house, you can still walk. But, and you know, we can feel more than one emotion at one time. So these spiritual bypassers that are out here trying to control our feelings, fuck them, excuse my French, but no. We have to learn as women to stand up for ourselves and protect ourselves, and not just be, you know, quiet and sweet and giving and supportive and, you know, all the things that we're prescribed to be. No, I call BS. We are strong. We were given a brain for a reason. And I just want to honor every woman and feeling every feeling, even if it's not what we're supposed to feel, like feel it, because we're just shamed all the time into BS behavior.
That's what another thing, there's no rules, as Kim said, with grief. There's no rules. Everybody grieves their own way, and
in their own timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you could feel all 5 stages at once, or within 5-minute period, you know, like it happens.
They don't go in order. Yeah, absolutely. And we have to, once, you know, we can let ourselves just do that and not worry about what someone says to us, you know, that, oh, you shouldn't be, like, I know Rosemary D'Alessandro, her neighbor said, well, aren't you over that by now? So, and it's just like, no, you're never going to get over it. You manage it. You never get over it. You get, you know,
you know what the thing is, first of all, is with a death, there's nothing that we can do about it. The thing that we can do is to grieve the way we need to help us as an individual, as a mother, sister, daughter, whatever, of the person that has passed. we have to grieve. We have to make our own path. Whatever we do to make ourselves feel better. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and criticize like the criticism, dear Lord Jesus, Carolyn. Oh, what you went through, no human should ever have to go through that with the things that were being said. And, we each
Yeah,
take
that was
on
pure
that.
evil. That's
Yeah.
pure evil.
Yes.
And I think what we forget, at least this, I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. I know everybody's unique, but I do think there are some things that we all experience similarly as human beings. Like when you go to a wedding, at least myself, it reminds me of other weddings. It reminds me of my own wedding gajillion years ago. But it brings back memories of other weddings, right? When I have a death, then it brings up, you are right back where you were in that moment of those others. I don't know how you can't. And so what I think people also don't realize is that with every death, every funeral of your family member that you're going to, you are re-experiencing the others along with that one. And so you go down that path again.
And even like positive, like my best friend built a house. She met the love of her life, got married. They just had a baby. And I'm like, I'm happy for her, but she's living her best life as my life is disappearing. Like, I'm very sick. So like my career's gone. My ability to have children or family's gone. Like, so I'm at a wedding and I'm trying not to think that that's never going to happen for me, like, because one of the things I went through was a divorce. And so even the positive things, it doesn't even have to be a funeral. Like, no. and you can be at like a wedding, a birthday, a housewarming, and you're just trying to keep your shit together. Excuse my French, and they have no idea. And it's like, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I make fun of millennials, you get a freaking blue ribbon for breathing, but I'm there like, where's my certificate? Where's my, nobody's acknowledging how hard I try or what I'm doing, So it's like, yeah, where's my trophy? Where's my certificate? Where's my parade? I want a week long, I joke, I'm like, I want the key to the city. I want a week long celebration, like, just, that's me. I have an inner pit bull and an inner wounded little girl child who just wants love, and my pit bull comes out a lot and talks big, and so that would be my pit bull wanting a week long Leisha celebration, the key to the city, the key to the state, like, but no, it's always there. It's always there.
Yes. I have friends, not now, not recently, but whether it be through college or even in recent years, because my friends know I'm alone, holidays come, and so they invite me for Thanksgiving or they invite me whatever. Now I do have extended family, aunts and uncles that I will go visit, but what people don't understand, what Leisha is saying, is that I'm very thankful they invite me, because, and I know it's in my best interest to go. Oftentimes it's hard and I will say no, because when you are sitting in that room, you have to smile. It's a happy holiday, but all you're doing is looking around at all the people they have of what you don't have. And before long, you can't take it much longer and have to go. You have to go because it's too overwhelming.
All right, who else? Does someone else want to share something? Bonnie?
Bonnie's ready.
Bonnie's ready? Okay.
Sure.
I can go after her.
Okay, Alicia.
Okay. I'm Bonnie, aka burnt hot dog. I'm 2 Scooters' daughter.
Ah,
Yes.
Oh,
So I lost my youngest daughter, Amelia. We lost her unexpectedly December 1st of 2017. She was 11 years old. She had just, she had what we thought was the flu. Not exactly, sure, but she was sick for a couple of days. She woke up on a Wednesday not feeling good. By Thursday afternoon, she was feeling, a little bit better, but then she started not feeling good again. And then that Friday, Friday morning, she woke me up and at 4:45, and she was gone less than an hour, after that. And we have a lake home 2 hours away, and my husband had gone, up there. He was iffy about going, because Amelia wasn't feeling good, but he's a chiropractor, and she was like, I'm okay, Daddy, you can go. I'm feeling so much better. And, he said, I hadn't been up there for a while, so I just wanted to check. I'll be right back home the next day, blah, blah, blah. She said, I'm okay, Daddy. So he left, so I was home by myself with our 2 other kids. We have our son, Jack, and our daughter, Maddie. And everything just happened so fast, and Amelia did pass away in front of me. And Jack and Maddie both woke up to me screaming, Amelia's name. And so the 3 of us not only are dealing with our grief, but, also dealing with PTSD. And the 3 of us are in grief counseling. We have been in grief counseling, for a while. We started probably about 5 or 6 months after Amelia passed away. I guess some of the shocking things, other than obviously her passing away, was we were at the hospital, and I knew right away. I knew when Amelia died, I knew she was gone. I knew there was no coming back, even though we had all these firemen and policemen, in my house, saying, oh, they got her heartbeat going. I just knew, I knew she was already gone 2 hours ago, so to say, or an hour, whatever it was. And so we're at the hospital, and they were still trying to work on her. And we were at the hospital for probably 4 hours, and we get home. And I think this is one thing that maybe people don't realize, because I never knew it, because we hadn't lost a child before, but I don't think we were home an hour. And I remember I was in the bathroom. I was in shock. I still hadn't processed what had happened. And I got a call from the welfare, from child services, telling me that this lady was so rude. She needed to come to our house right now because she needed to find out what happened to our daughter and why this happened. And I just remember I just started screaming, and I said, are you trying to tell me I killed my daughter? What are you saying? What are you saying to me right now? My daughter has not been dead 5 hours, and you are telling me that, it was awful. And that is something that I will never forget, because that woman, she had no compassion. She had just no empathy, no sympathy, nothing for us. And then she said to me, I really don't care what you're doing, but you need to take your other 2 kids and you need to take them back to the hospital, and they need to be tested for all these diseases. Their blood needs to be drawn. We need to find out what happened to your daughter. It was horrible. Okay. So I think that was I will never forget that. So then my husband asked to take our kids back to the hospital. We just spent, 4 or 5 hours at, and they were stuck there another 3 hours getting blood drawn, getting all these tests done, only to find out that they were healthy. There was nothing, wrong, with them. And, so they came home, and then I can't, everything else after that was just a blur. We did have welfare come in. A different lady came in, because when that lady called back, I said, I don't want you. I do not want you at my house. I do not want you to call me again. I don't want anything to do with you. You are an awful, awful person. So then another lady showed up actually the day of Amelia's wake. And she didn't even call. There's a knock on the door, and we had people coming over bringing us food, so I just thought it was somebody, else. With my husband being a chiropractor, he's been a chiropractor for 30 years in this town, and we're not a big town. So, a lot of people know us. So, and the school was, they're coming to us. They were all wonderful, but I thought it was just somebody else bringing food. And no, it was the welfare person. And she said, I need to come in and talk to your kids right now. And I was just like, no, that's not happening. We're having my daughter's wake today. You're not coming. And she said, well, I need to come back then, tomorrow. And I said, no, we're having her funeral tomorrow. You're not coming back tomorrow. So she came back the day after the funeral, had to talk to our kids, who at the time Jack he just graduated this year. So he was a sophomore at the time, and Maddie was a freshman. Amelia was in sixth grade. So she comes that day and she's got to talk to them by themselves. She's got to look through our cabinets to see how much food we have and look in our refrigerator. She's got to look in our bathrooms. She's got to look, in the kids' rooms and make sure, see how much clothes they have, make sure everything is clean. She's going all around our house. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my husband and we're looking at each other like, what is happening? Like, the worst thing that could possibly happen to a parent has happened. And now we're being made to feel like we have murdered our daughter. We just thought she had the flu, and, she had the flu before. Every kid gets the flu. Every kid gets a cold. And she was not exhibiting any symptoms that were out of the ordinary. If she were, we would have taken her to the hospital. We would have taken her to our friend that, this is an MD, but it was just like, something she'd had in the past, and it turns out the virus, for whatever reason, had attacked her heart, and her heart got sick. So that is what ultimately killed her. Okay. So we got past that, and then we had the services, and I do remember some friends of mine, it's actually my son, Jack, one of his friends, grandma, she had lost her son, and she had told me, she said, don't try too hard to remember anything during these first 6 months after you've lost Amelia, because you think you're going to remember it, but you're not. Like, you are in such shock. Her son had died in Iraq. And she's like, I don't remember that first year. And I do find myself now thinking back and even asking my husband, like, was so-and-so at Amelia's services? I don't remember, and he'll say, I think so, but, I'm not sure. And I can relate to Kim in a sense that, I have worried about the type of mom that I have been since Amelia did die, because I know that I'm not the same person that I was before she passed away. But if it wasn't for Jack and Maddie, even though I do have my husband, but if it wasn't for Jack and Maddie, I don't know that I would be here, today. It is because of them that I got up every day, and I made sure that, we still tried to have the same morning routine, before school, making breakfast, being there for them after school, just doing what I can to try to make some sense of normalcy, for them, even though I knew I was just in a fog. I honestly don't really remember those first 6 months that Amelia passed away, because it's just, you are in shock. And Britta, our counselor, she said your mind just kind of, it protects you. So it shuts everything else off around you and inside you, so that you can't really feel much of, anything else. And I know that that's what happened, with me. And it's been 2.5 years now, since Amelia has passed away. And I battle anxiety, and, but it's gotten better. I do have my days. It is definitely a journey. And I think one thing that I learned from my grief counseling was that, my counselor went over with me the pathway of grief, and the things that, the pathway that you go through, and you have these hills and valleys, so to say, and you go through these times where, you feel good, and like, you feel like, okay, I can make this, I'm going to be all right. I got this, I'm strong, it's going to be okay. And then the next day, bam, it just hits you all over again. And it doesn't matter how long it's been. If it's been 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, you've lost your child, and you are never going to get over that. Like, you just aren't. You do somehow learn to live with it and move forward in life. But I didn't want to get stuck in a place where she said was called complicated grief. It's where you're angry with everybody. You're angry with God. You're angry with yourself. You're angry with the circumstances. You're angry with your child being gone. And I was very angry for a while. I was very very angry at God, but I didn't lose my faith. Like I did not lose that, but I was very angry. And I do still have times where I am, even 2.5 years later, you know. But I have to believe that for whatever reason she left, it was for a reason. I don't know what that is. I may not know in this lifetime, but when it's my time to pass on, I hope that I am reunited with her, and I will find out then. But I think something too that has just surprised me too is just sometimes people's stupidity. Maddie and we were out at Chipotle one day having lunch, and I saw a lady whose son is the same age as Amelia, and they were friends. You know, they didn't hang out after school, but they knew each other in school, and I knew who she was. And she came over to me and, oh, I'm so sorry, Bonnie. I'm so sorry about, you know, Amelia and blah, blah, blah. And I said, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. And she actually said to me, but you have 2 other kids, right? And I said, yes, I do. And she's like, so then it's not so hard for you, right, to lose Amelia because you still have the other 2 kids with you. And Maddie is just looking at me. Maddie's back is to this woman. And Maddie just like drops her fork and just looks at me like, and I just looked at her and I said, sure. Okay. Yeah. And she goes, well, I'm just saying, because, you know, I only have 1 child. And oh my gosh, if I were to lose him, like I would just lose my mind and I would not be able to live again. But you have the other 2, so that makes it okay. And I just said, okay, you know what, have a nice day. You know, how ignorant can somebody be? You know, and I've lost some friends that I haven't, like, you know, they don't want to be around me because I guess I'm just too much of a reminder of what could happen to their kids, you know, and so it's hard for them. And, you know, that's okay. You know, I do have my friends that are still very close to me and that have been there with me since, you know, before Amelia passed and are still with me now. And I'm very grateful for them. But, you know, it is a struggle. I'm not going to say that it's not, you know, because even like I said, 2.5 years later, I am in a much better place than I was 2.5 years ago. But I miss Amelia every day. I think about her every second of every day. And, you know, that pain just, it does not go away. But somehow you do just learn how to live with it. Is probably the easiest, you know, thing to say. I mean, and I do, like right now with this COVID and stuff, you know, I'm a freak anyways when flu season rolls around, obviously, about Jack and Maddie. But now with this COVID, it's even worse, you know. But then I just try to remember, you know, like, okay, you know, it's going to be okay. You know, Jack and Maddie are going to be okay. It's, you know, all going to be okay. But you just, when you lose a child like that so unexpectedly to something as simple as you would think is the flu, it makes it hard when you do have other kids, because then you are worried all the time about what could possibly happen to them. But I try not to let my mind go there, you know. So I guess, you know, I guess all I can really say is, you know, you do have to give yourself time. You do have to just allow yourself to grieve in whatever way it's going to be. It does come in waves, and it comes when you least expect it. You can be just, you know, out with your family or your friends having the greatest time, and then all of a sudden it just hits you, and you just have to go with it. And my counselor told me that the most important thing that you can do is just to cry. Allow yourself at least every other day, 20 minutes a day to cry, to get out all of those emotions, all of that pent up grief. Because if you don't, that's what leads to your anxiety, you know, and having panic attacks. And but you just have to, you know, you have to let it out, you know. So.
And
Yep.
I think, Bonnie, you touched on, and I'm sure we all could provide these, people say things, because we all had now lost. I'm sure I said some of these things before when I didn't know better.
Mm-hmm.
But there are people say with good intentions, but they're not. So
right.
Now my mom's death was not unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, even the crazy thing is, even when you know it's going to happen, it's still a shock to the mind. So I get the call from my stepdad. I'm home in my apartment. I'm calling my girlfriend. This is pre-cell phone crazy days. And, you know, she walks in the door and she looked at me and she goes like, are you okay? And I told her my mom died. And she says to me, well, it's not like you didn't know it was going to happen.
Oh, goodness.
I've never forgotten that. Why?
What is
'Cause
wrong with
what?
people? They say the
Are you
worst
serious?
things.
Or,
Ugh.
but when people say it's not, maybe it's indifferent when you have really anything, like if you had a car accident or whatever. If people haven't experienced the exact same, when they say what? They say, I know how you feel. No, you don't.
Exactly.
Don't say that, right? So the best thing people can say is, I'm sorry for your loss, or I'm here if you need to talk, or sometimes I just think nothing, maybe a hug,
Exactly.
right? Because we're not taught how to deal with grief. We're not taught how to acknowledge others dealing with grief. So kind of the lady that said to you, well, you have 2 other kids.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking to myself, in her mind, that maybe is her way of dealing with the fear of losing her one child, or like maybe her own way of dealing with it. But nonetheless, it's just there's no place for it, right? So
Right.
yeah,
It's so offensive. So offensive.
And I will say that Jack and Maddie, because the kids even, they, with what they witnessed and, with seeing, after she passed away, they've obviously, it's been very traumatic for them, and they amazed both myself and my husband, with how strong they are and how resilient they are. And they actually, last year, they started a support group at their high school for other kids, for kids that have lost loved ones. And they've been doing that every other week, and the school board backed it, and the guidance counselor, the mental health counselor there, she headed it up with them. And Amelia's nickname was Bump. And so they called it, when there's a bump in the road, grief support group for the high school students. And that has really helped my kids tremendously, in their grief, because they've been able to go there every couple of weeks and talk, with the health counselor there, and other students who have, suffered loss as well, and I'm really proud of them for what they've done, because they've taken their grief and they're trying to help other kids, and other people. And our son Jack is actually, he's going to be going to Western Michigan in the fall, and he wants to go into psychology because he wants to become a grief counselor and help kids with their grief. So it, of course, is a tragedy for us, but I'm very, very proud of them for taking it and trying and turning, something positive, out of it,
one of my very best friends is a grief counselor. Thank goodness for that. But it was an interesting thing I thought I would share. She shared with me once that I think so. She said to me that, Kim, we all have a life path in our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And some of you may know this better than I'm going to say, but she said, in your mind, you have a path you've already planned out for your life. And I guess if I think about this, when you're younger, you think about you're going to get married, you maybe go to college, get married. We kind of have a path. And I had a path, you're going to have my daughter, going to do this, whatever, right? You have this kind of path. But then she said, what happens when you have that death that is unexpected and that bump in the road, or it is now, it was not part of your plan, right? Mm-hmm. It was not part of that plan at all. So she said to me, your body will start to heal. In other words, maybe you won't have, that feeling like you're going to throw up, or all physical experiences, right? But she said what people don't learn, or what we don't do for ourselves or understand, is that your brain has to heal, and your brain has to create a new path. And she said, and that takes much, much longer.
Yeah.
That was, she shared that with me when my dad died. And I think that is a good analogy, because it is true. These things were not part of the path of our life.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And so then you have to create a new one.
Yeah. I never expected to have to bury, one of my kids, that as a parent, that's not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to outlive our kids, and, honestly, it's still a shock to me. And I think for the rest of my life, it will always be a shock to me. Amelia she was always with me all the time. I called her my little roid, because she was like a little hemorrhoid. She always had to go everywhere with me. And there would always be our joke. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to the store. She's like, okay, I'm coming with you. I'm like, all right, little roid. And she'd be like, yeah, I know, huh? And but I think too, for those that are watching that, that maybe know somebody who has lost a child, one of the things I get now especially is people are still afraid to say Amelia's name or to talk about her or to tell stories about her. And that is one thing that I want to say is like, just if you have a story about somebody's child, tell it. I love to hear stories about Amelia. I love to hear her name, because Amelia was here. Amelia, she lived and she mattered and she still matters. She may not be here physically, but you know what? She was here for 11 years and
11 and a half years.
Okay, sorry, Mom, 11 and a half years. And, I feel like it's kind of my mission to just make sure people don't forget her, because she was beautiful. She was very intelligent. She wanted to be a farmer when she grew up, and she was just very carefree and sassy and spunky, and you shouldn't be afraid to say, I understand why people are hesitant to talk about somebody's deceased child, because they are worried about upsetting them. But even if I get upset about it, I still want to know that people still care enough about her to talk about her.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my child. I want to talk about all.
I told this, I probably told this story a year ago or something, but there's a teacher in our school, and she taught actually my son Ray and my son Michael. And when she was teaching my son Michael, she had a baby. He was like, I don't know, 4 or something at the time. And then she was pregnant again, very pregnant. The baby was born. I don't know what the issue was, but the baby lived a few days. They were able to christen the baby. The baby passed away. She came back to school. I knew the baby's name. And then when I think it was Luke, and Ethan were in there all those years later, because there's a big space, I saw her at a Meet the Teacher night, and she said to me, Carolyn, oh my gosh, she said, I can't believe, you're here again, right? So I said, yeah, we started over, right? So then she said, she said something like, I just have the one, or I only had one child. And I said to her, no, you didn't just have one child. You had 2 children.
Nice.
You had Chris. I knew his name, so I said, you had Christopher. And she said to me, you remember that? I said, yes. And she said, and she took a minute and she came back and she said to me, thank you for remembering that, because she doesn't even say it, because I guess to the people that didn't know then, why bring it up? And so I remember I could just see she was so grateful for me to say it,
Yes.
You had, you have 2 children, not just one.
Yeah. And that's true. That's
so beautiful, Carolyn. I'm sure she just was like, you gave her so much. You honored her child. Mm-hmm. And I have an aunt, she's 7 months younger than me, and she had well, she was pregnant. She had to go to the hospital and just basically not even sneeze. And then she ended up losing the baby anyway. And she was in the hospital for like 3 months trying to save that baby. And she wanted to have a funeral. And I'm sorry. And she has 4 brothers, and one of them is my dad. And behind the scenes, like they all have money and they pay for it and whatever, because her mom, my grandma, is gone. And but they were all behind her back talking like, oh, why does she want a funeral? Why does she have to get a coffin? Those are expensive. Like, they have so much money. And even if they didn't have money, but like they were shaming her. Like, why is she didn't know that baby. I'm sorry, that baby's inside of her for how long? And then she tried for 3 months in the hospital, every minute, every breath she took. She was trying to save that baby. And it just shows you how flippant people are. Mm-hmm. Like, especially about miscarriages or, losing a baby. Oh, we didn't get to know it that much. What are you talking about? Or have another baby. Oh yeah, because then you're not going to miss the first one. Like, that's not how it works. So, this is why we need the divine feminine coming in. This is why we need female legislators that will pay for Family Medical Leave Act, fund maternity leave, fund elder care, fund kinder care, care about children, care about elderly, care about pregnancy, care about, you know what I'm saying? Because we live in such a cold society that's cutthroat, that's individualistic, and it's me, and quick, and like, just do it and just make it so, number one. Like, BS, no. I want to honor everybody and every feeling they have. And we're just, as women, we're shamed into behaving. And we should all be very angry. We should be angry because, no, it's wrong. We are intelligent and smart and caring and compassionate, and that should not be used against us. And Carolyn, you attract a sensitive, empathic type of subscribership. So I think so many of us, we have a lot of people who are sick, a lot of people who are taking care of sick or elderly parents or children, or who have lost children. Like, a lot of us lost, we've all lost, a lot of us have lost dogs in the last year,
Right.
year and a half, 2 years. Like, there's a lot going on right now. We're all being impacted. And I just really want to send my love and compassion and support to everyone, even people who don't like me or whatever, because I just have mad love for women, because we are the glue. We are the glue. And I just love you. Thank you, Carolyn, for this.
You're
space.
welcome. I just want to check on, like, Karen, I think, fell asleep.
Yeah.
So I just want to, she's okay, I guess. I mean, I don't, okay. I get, right, because I missed it and then just saw it. So yeah, because some people are saying, I hope she's okay, but she just fell asleep, right? Just, it's late. I mean, it's so maybe she just, okay.
Was she the first one that spoke?
No, she didn't get to speak yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, if someone who's on a later time, like in the East time zone or whatever, wants to go before me, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So Wilo, did you want to say something? Hold, hang on. Let me see. You're on mute, Wilo, so you have to, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Willowick.
Hi, Wilo.
Hi. Okay, it's going to be kind of a twisted, long story. Some of you may believe it, some of you may not believe it, and that's okay, because it's my truth. I'm part Cherokee Indian, and the firstborn female of every family, they are more attuned with the spirit world than the other siblings. And that's where I fit in. So yes, I have seen spirits often. I lost my mama lost a set of twins. My daughter died an hour after she was born. My brother died. Someone pushed him off a barge and he drowned. This is where I want to start my story.
Okay, sorry for all your.
Thank you. I was in West Memphis at the dog track over there. I went every Wednesday night. My brother worked on the river. Coming over the river that night about midnight, it was me and two of my girlfriends. And I just started crying uncontrollably, grief. Something bad had happened. I knew that something really, really bad had just happened, though I didn't know what it was. I was thinking it, my boyfriend or something. Well, when I got home, I went to bed. An hour later, Mama got a phone call, and Bobby had been missing off the boat. And when he fell off the boat was the time that I was coming over it. I'm the big sister. I always protected him. And that's what I was feeling, was him drowning. But there wasn't anything I could do to help him, of course. So after the funeral, Mama ended up with cancer. And she was really, really sad, understandably. But when my brother died, he was the only boy. And she started screaming, my boy, my boy, my only boy. And I felt guilty instantly because a couple of years earlier, I had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. They gave me 3 months to live. And I'm 66 now, so, I kind of blew that out of the water. But I felt guilty. I was supposed to die first. And then mom could have kept her son, is how I looked at it. But anyway, so I started seeing out the corner of my eye little shadows walk by. When I looked, there wasn't anything there. There wasn't anything that could have caused the shadows. I saw the shadows all the time, all the time. And I knew it was my brother. Well, when somebody dies a violent death or a sudden death, they don't know that they're gone. And they're going to attach themselves to the people that they were closest with. And that's what my brother did. He attached himself to me. And every place I went, I mean, it wasn't just at home that I saw him. Every place, I told a friend one time Bobby hadn't left the house and I never saw the friend again. So you don't talk about stuff like that, right? So I decided, well, Bobby needs to go on. So I talked to him and told him, look, Bobby, I'm okay. You can go. You can go on to heaven. And I didn't see the shadows anymore. So years later, my son is turning 26 this year. And when he was about 4 years old, about 3 years old, I was putting him down to bed one night and he looked over my right shoulder and he was waving, hi, Bobby. Hi, Bobby. At TJ. And I just froze and he repeated it. Hi, Bobby. I TJ. And he was patting himself on the chest. And I turned around and looked over my right shoulder. Of course, I didn't see anything. So I asked him, I said, do you see Bobby up there? And he said, yes. And then he again introduced himself to Bobby. Hi, Bobby. I TJ. So I picked him up and was walking down the hallway showing him family pictures. And, my mom and my daddy, and said, this is your grandpa and your grandma. And when I got to Bobby's picture, I didn't say anything. He pointed at the picture. He says, there's Bobby right there. And it's like, oh, okay. So he did see Bobby. So then, I don't know, it was about a week later, I was putting him in his high chair. And again, he looked over my right shoulder and Bobby was still there. He was saying hi to Bobby. So I know that my brother is over my right shoulder and he's with me every place I go. He has attached himself to me. And I feel more comfort knowing that he's right here waiting for me to go because I think he wants to escort me to the other side. And that, to me, everybody, when you lose somebody, they're with you. They're with you constantly. They're your guardian angels for real. Don't ever look for everything, anything. Okay, I lost my I lost a lot of people. After Bobby, I lost my mother. And then I lost my daddy. And I was only in my 30s, you know, when they passed over. So then it was going to be just me and my little baby sister. And we were going to grow old together. 7 years ago, she died. I have her cremated. She's on my dresser in my bedroom. Everybody says, don't put the ashes in your bedroom. But no, I wanted her there. And at night, when I go to bed, I can feel my sister climb up in the bed with me. I'll turn around to look and see if it's my husband. And then I'll roll back over knowing that Lisa's right there laying with me. And it's okay. That's a good thing. My mother, she rubs me on the knee. She's always rubbing me on the knee. And every time she does, I take my hand and put it where she had just brushed her hand across my knee. Don't ever think your loved ones are gone. They're not. You can't see them. You can't touch them. You can't hug them. But they're there. They're with you always, not just in your heart. They're with you.
Thanks
I
for
love
telling
that
the story,
feeling.
Lilo. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, I hope it helps. I
Yeah.
know people are going to think I'm crazy,
Oh, no,
but,
no, I don't think you're crazy.
well, you know, people don't see things and feel things and usually, you know, but you just have to keep everything open to them because they're there. They'll relay messages. You know, just pay attention to them.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you're alone because you're not. They love you. They're attached to you. And they'll be there forever. And sorry if I'm the crazy girl in the house.
No, not at all. Not at all. Thank you for telling the story. Thank you. Oh,
Okay, you're welcome.
thanks. Now, anybody else want to?
I just wanted to say something real quick.
Sure.
He was talking about signs. I did want to mention that there have been times where, you know, like in my lowest points, so far I have found 4 letters from Amelia that I completely forgot that I even had. One of them I didn't even know she had written. It would just be, you know, I'd just be having a really bad day and I would be looking through a drawer or something and I'd pull out a notebook and be looking like for a, you know, a clear page. And there's a letter there from Amelia. One of them was from, you know, like, and all of them would tell me how much she loved me and that I'm the best mommy in the world. And she was so lucky to have me as a mommy. And it just shocked me. And then I emailed you the one I found most recently, Carolyn, where I was just getting something out of my glove box. And I'm in that every week getting deposit slips or something out, you know, and I just happened to grab this paint swatch out that when we moved it'll be 5 years ago in August into our new house. And I couldn't find the right shade of gray, and Amelia and I kept going to the store and like getting these different paint swatches. And I probably spent $70 in those stupid little cans of paint and all over the house. And, you know, and there it was on a swatch of gray paints. And she wrote, Amelia is awesome. And I grabbed it. I'm like, this has been in here for almost 5 years. How did I never see this until now? So there's always times where it's usually my lowest points. And right when I found that it was coming up to close to Amelia's birthday. Her birthday was last Friday on the 29th, and she would have been 14. And I found that, and I'm just like, all right, Mom, Mommy hears you. Like,
Yeah, her message to you.
Yes. And, you know, like I found one that was a funky little cross that she had drawn. And, you know, and my son is actually going to get that tattooed. That's what he wanted for his 18th birthday. He wants, you know, that tattoo. So he's going to get that over his heart, you know, and, yeah. And I was just, yeah, I do see the signs, you know, from her, you know, I really do. I was out at the cemetery the other day. I planted flowers. Do her site up really special in the fall and in the spring. And I planted the flowers there on Friday on her birthday. And when I was there the other day to water, never happened before, but you know, that cottonwood or whatever it is, like I get out of my car and it just looked like it was snowing. It was the craziest thing. And I took a video of it and I sent it to, you know, my mom, to Scooter, and I'm like, look at this. This is crazy. And she's like, oh, Amelia's playing with you, you know? And I was like, right. And then a bird.
It happens.
It does. It has. And when we were going to do the flowers, this bird perched on this little tree that's on another grave right next to Amelia's, and just sit up there looking right at me and just chirping at me nonstop. And I was like, this is so weird. And I was like, is that you, Amelia? It was crazy. But there, I do see signs everywhere. And especially now I'm aware, and I just make sure that I am aware to them and I see them, because I know that she is with us, and she's always going to be with us.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yep.
And yeah, I think signs are really important. I think it's one of the first things you look for, right? To see that they're, you know, to give you some kind of comfort through everything you're going through.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I look for them now, but when Bobby died, I didn't know. And it's not that I grieve for every death around me, you know, but I control it by knowing that they're still here.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that makes my heart happy.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. Everybody's always told me I was a strong woman, but you know, of course I didn't feel that way, but apparently I'm a lot stronger than I think I am.
You know, I'd like to kind of maybe ask you, follow up to that with the statement. That was something actually I thought about earlier. Those of us who have, whether you've had one loss, 100 losses, whatever, you've had grief, but I don't know about you all, but a majority of my friends, whenever something happens in my life, the answer is, Kim, you got this. You're strong. You're good. You know, you'll be fine. But when something happens in their life, the world is coming to an end. But for whatever reason, because they've seen me as being strong, I don't need any, you know, sympathy, or I don't need any help, whatever. But they just say, well, you're strong. Well, yeah, for whatever reason, we have perceived as strong. But what does that mean? I mean, I sometimes want to say, does that mean I'm not entitled to feel? Do you guys, so if you are told that you are being, you know, oh, you're so strong, how do you guys all deal with that?
I think for me, I do find it very annoying, honestly, when people tell me, oh, you are so strong, because I think that, you know, I'm like, always but to be strong. Unless you've lost a child, you really don't know what it is that I'm going through. This is like, it is like horrific. I mean, there's just no way around it. Like, it is. And, you know, but then also too, I think, you know what? Because I have to try the unimaginable. That's every parent, it's your worst nightmare. And I am still here to say that, you know what, I'm still here. I am alive. I have survived it. I'm making it through every single day. So you know what, I am strong. So I'm kind of gotten to the point to where I almost like, I'm proud of it, but don't tell me that, because it is annoying. I mean, I will say that, I mean, it is, but also too, I take it for what it is, because then I do realize that, you know, to other people, I guess to them, I am strong. And I see where they're coming from, you know, if that makes sense, you know, but it doesn't mean that like, I'm not still hurting, and that I don't see my child, and that I'm not still grieving. I'm going to grieve every day for the rest of my life until I'm with Amelia again, you know? So
yeah. And do we have to be strong all the time? It's like, come on, could it let up a little?
But I mean, I'm okay with that. You know, I'm not so much angry about it. Now I'm trying to like, I look at it as, I think part of it too, there is something that I'm meant to do with Amelia passing. There's a greater purpose to this. I'm still trying to figure out what it was. I don't believe that Amelia died in vain, and I will not let her death, like, you know, just I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like there is something that I'm supposed to do because of, out of this. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to help people. I don't, but there is an ultimate purpose for this. And if that means that, I have to be strong, then yeah, I do, because it does take a lot of strength for me every day to get out of bed, pull myself out of bed and continue to go on without all of my children here with me, because Amelia should still be here with me. Amelia should be 14 years old. There was a point in time where, Maddie, she's going to be a senior this year, and Amelia would have been a freshman, and they would talk all the time. They shared a room for years until we moved into this house, and they would talk all the time about, oh, I'm going to be a freshman, or I'm going to be a senior in high school. Amelia, you're going to be a freshman. I'm going to show you all around the school. We're going to ride to school together because I'm going to have my license. So now we're dealing with that with Maddie, and Maddie's very sad about that, because Maddie has always driven to school now the last 2 years with Jack, but now Jack has graduated and he's going to college. So like in the fall, technically her and Amelia should be riding to school together and coming home together. So Maddie is feeling that loss all over again of her little sister, her best friend, so we're all strong for each other. It's annoying to hear, but I no longer get angry about it, because it's part of my purpose in my life now. Is I don't know exactly what that purpose is, but I got to figure it out, and I will. God will give me the answer at some point in time when I'm ready to accept it and hear it. And I just got to wait.
I think it might already have been your two kids starting bumping the road at school, and look at how many families they've touched.
It could be. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it could be.
And you're their mother. So
thank you. Thanks.
You've helped a ton if there's a bump in the road. So.
Did you want to say anything, Tammy?
No, everybody got my story a couple weeks ago all by myself.
No, but I mean, did you want to comment on anything?
Yes, my heart goes out to all of you that have shared, because it is scary the first time when you share. So I am very sorry for all your losses. This week, I'm a photographer, and I had the mom reach out to me. She lost her 19-year-old that I took his senior pictures last year, May 15th, and he died last Saturday of an overdose. And they're having his service, COVID, 10 people or whatever, but she's been contacting me for the last 3 days for certain pictures I took, and she can't, her brain is a mess, and she's in shock, and she's like, I want to use this one and this one, but I don't even know how to get to it. I said, don't worry about it. I'm going to send it to you. So my heart has just been broken for her.
Yeah.
Ask about Maddie.
Karen, would it be okay if Maddie says something?
Yeah.
Okay, come here, Maddie.
Oh.
I don't know what she wants to say.
No,
she's with my mom.
It's okay.
Okay, here, go ahead.
Oh.
This is my daughter,
Hi.
Maddie.
Hi there.
Maddie.
Finally meet you guys.
AKA Popcorn Chicken. All right, what do you got to say?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. You were talking about me going to high school with Amelia. It does really suck, because I was really looking forward to going with her. And, we would talk about it all the time, because we did share a room together for like half my life. And, now that Jack's gone, I feel like kind of alone now that he's going to be going off to college. And I'm going to have to, be at high school by myself, surrounded by all old friends. And instead of, being able to show her around, I have to show them around. So it's really sad. But I mean, I don't really know.
Do you want to show them around?
What?
Do you want to show them around?
Oh, yeah. I already told him. I said no one else is allowed to show you around except for me, because I kind of feel like it's my job, and that's what Amelia would have wanted. But, I was originally just going to show around her, because, she is my best friend, like that was always our plan. And, after the first day of school, like her and I would talk about going out and like getting coffee, and like I would ask her like, oh my gosh, like, did you love your first day as a high schooler? Like, whoa, it's so cool, right? And then I would, want her to be in ROTC with me, and I was gonna try to get her to join choir, but she said she didn't want to be in choir. She didn't want to be a choir nerd like me. She wanted to be a band nerd. So I was like, okay.
Well, orchestra.
Yeah, orchestra.
Yeah.
And no matter how hard I tried, she's always like, no, I'm not gonna do choir like you. I don't want to do that. And I'm like, fine, whatever, be like that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I really do miss her. And high school is gonna really be difficult my senior year, but I know that with her friends there with me, she's always gonna be there with me as well. So I'm looking forward to it, but it's also sad.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks, Maddie.
How far they were 2 years apart?
They were 4 years apart,
Oh, 4
right?
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
No, 3. Sorry, 3
Yeah.
years. Yeah. Maddie was born in 06 and Maddie was born in 03 and Maddie was born in 03 and Amelia was born in 06. Sorry. So 3 years apart. And
I want to remind everyone that God is in control. I'm not sure what your beliefs are, but God is in control. When I lost my first 2 babies, several times I said, God knows what he's doing, because if I would have had the time to bond with them, one was only a week old, the other was only a day old, I would have just totally lost my mind losing my babies. If I had the time to bond with them. And then years later, I lost my 34-year-old daughter. Now, she was my shadow. She didn't. So anytime I needed to go somewhere to the doctors or grocery shopping or whatever, she was right there with me. And when she died, you know what? God was with me and I didn't go crazy. 34 years bonded with my daughter. She was my shadow. She and when she passed away, God carried me through that. And I'm grateful for that. So he is in control, and we all need to acknowledge that, and if I may, please just pray over all of you for just a moment. I'd appreciate you letting me do that. Dear Jesus, Lord, you're our Savior. You died on the cross for each and every one of us. And no matter what circumstances that we're going through right now or have gone through, or whatever is in the future for us, we know that we're going to be following your path, and you're going to carry us through when you're needed. You're going to carry us through, dear Lord Jesus. We ask that you take all of us in this panel, hold on to us, fill us with love, understanding, peace, and comfort over the losses that we've had to endure. In your name, Jesus, we ask this. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a question for the panel.
Sure.
This is, I guess, obviously, if you don't feel comfortable answering that, that's just fine. But this is something I'm just curious how people, I guess I've never asked people this question. If we believe we will see our loved ones again, do you think they are the same age as when they passed?
Yes. They're going to be
because I'm afraid my brother won't, because he was so little and that I don't know him or something. Do you know? I'm just curious. I'm just curious if what you think. I'm just what everybody thinks.
Through the counseling that I've gone through, many times, and even the pastor at the church and whomever we talk to, they say that when someone passes, if they're sick, and like your brother Kim, with him drowning, once we meet with them again in heaven, they're going to be that same age as when they left. When I meet with my 2 daughters and my son, my 2 youngest ones are still going to be infants, and my 34-year-old daughter will be 34. I don't know if you've read different comments or whatever. People will write down 34 forever, or forever 34. But that's how I'm going to meet my children. 2 of them are babies. One of them is 34. They're not going to have the look of being sick at all. They're going to be filled with glory, with gleam with sunshine. I totally believe that.
Mhm.
And as soon as I cross over and go through that gate, I do expect my children to be there, and I'll recognize them immediately. We as moms, you as your brother, sister, we look forward to that. We look forward to meeting them again. And they're going to be just like they were when they passed. They're going to be that same age. And that's how we'll recognize them. The only thing is they won't be sick. There's no sickness, there's no sadness, there's, you know, no grief. There's nothing like that in heaven. It's all give glory to God. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I believe that too. And I know our priest told us too, you know, shortly after Amelia passed away, you know, he said, you know, when I see, you know, kids that pass away, you know, so young, and, you know, or really anybody that passes away, you know, he's like, I think, you know what, they got it right. And that's why God called them home. You know, we are all striving to get it right in this life and to make it into the gates of heaven before, you know, it's our time to go home. And you know what, he's like, Amelia, she got it right, and she's up there and she's waiting for us, you know. And as sad as we are here, you know, and mourning her and missing her so much, you know, she is so happy up there, you know. She's not missing us, you know, like she loves us, and but she's so happy. And you know, and I feel, and so does my husband, like Amelia, she wouldn't want to come back here, because where she's at right now is where we all want to, but that's our beliefs, you know, that's what we believe.
And years and time aren't the same up in heaven.
Yes.
Somebody said, and it gave me comfort.
Yep.
Hey,
and
where were you, Mom? You know, it'll just seem like hours.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And I took comfort in that, you know, because I'm not one to push my beliefs on anybody. This is we all have our own beliefs, just happens to be ours, you know. And I do believe that Amelia is at peace, and she is happy, and that her face will be the first face that I when my time comes to leave this earth, you know. And I can't wait for that day, but I'm finding joy again. I will say that I am learning to find joy, and it's weird because like you learn to appreciate things so much better, like so much more. Like everything is just so much. I don't want to say
compassion, more empathy, more.
Yeah.
And you realize how much more special things are. You know, you take it for granted. Like I took it for granted when I had all three of my kids here. Like I just always thought all three of my kids were going to be here with me. They were. So we did a lot of stuff together. My mom and I especially did a lot of stuff with the kids. We still do a lot of stuff with the kids and with my niece, you know. But I always thought it was going to be that way. And after Amelia passed away, like I realized that's not the case at all. Like that's not the case. So now when we do stuff, like I take every single moment, and every moment I have with my kids, like I just suck it up. We've been in this quarantine. I am loving. Are we sick of each other and on each other's nerves? Yeah, we've been together for 2 months straight now. Okay, but I'm loving it. Like I'm eating every moment of it up with my kids, because you know, like I know life is precious and tomorrow is never guaranteed. You know, like they say, you know, we plan and God laughs.
Yeah.
Get it? Like he's in control, like he is. You know, I'm done planning stuff because I know tomorrow is not guaranteed. So I will just enjoy every day that I have with my beautiful children, and just take it all in, and just really, really, really be appreciative and grateful for every second I have for those two. And I will never, I read in an article somewhere that said, you know, like if God were to come to you and say, you know what, I'll give you this beautiful child for X amount of years, you know, but then at a certain point in time, like say for Amelia, you know, you can have Amelia for 11 years, but then 11.5 years old, I'm going to take her back, and you're going to be in so much pain, and it's going to be horrible. You know, would you still want her, or would you just say no to having her so that you never know that pain? A million times, yes, I would take Amelia if I knew I was only going to have her 11.5 years, because that little girl was a miracle, and I would never ever trade her for anything, even though I wasn't meant to have her for, you know, my whole life, you know, because she was definitely a gift. All three of my kids are gifts, for sure.
Carolyn, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Where are you in your journey?
Well, I mean, I still have a good deal of numbness like throughout the day, but when I like listen to certain music, then the tears come. If I read certain books, it comes here tonight. It's come hearing other stories, you know. So that's all part of the process, but I'm able to then go on, like when we have the crafts and stuff, and then just get into that mindset and laugh for that time. And that's when like the numbness of that. But then there'll be sometimes certain little things that I'm noticing, like somebody will mention a child, you know, my child's age, and it'll be a little twing that brings me to reality that he's not here anymore. So, you know, that's where I am.
Well, first of all, Carolyn, never, ever, ever be ashamed or embarrassed or ask for forgiveness for going on with your life and laughing and having a good time in crafts or whatever, because that's the path of grieving. And if that's helping you get through it, then nobody has the right to say anything to you. If I've noticed today when we were doing Happy Mail and you were telling us about the panel, you were reading a letter that somebody sent you and you had to stop several times to.
That's hard for me. Yeah.
But you did a great job. And that, with you stopping and with us hearing you sniffle and you saying, I'm sorry, you know, I got a little emotional, you know, that's honoring your son. That's absolutely honoring your son.
Right.
And keep going. And know that you might not have my, you know, my phone number, but you have my email address. If ever you get to a point where you don't know which way to turn, there's so many of us on your channel that can walk with you.
Yeah, no, I don't know where I would be without the community. I don't. You know, I think if everything happens for a reason, this community happened for a reason.
We're with you, girl.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. You're still so early on in it too. You've only been what?
Oh, I know. And that's what the grief counselor says. She's like, people get to a year and they can just like accept it. They may just become to accept it at a year that it's really happened. You know, they can live in denial almost an entire year at least, and it may be more.
Yeah.
So
I don't like this for anybody else that's been a couple years at least out of it, but the first year of my grief, very like I was just in just complete shock and denial and just I couldn't believe it. And then, you know, even my grief counselor said, you know what, oftentimes the second year is the worst year. And I thought, when the heck can that be? This first year is just awful. But unfortunately, she was right. Like that second year was horrible. And she said it was because like I had finally come out of my shock and my numbness, you know, so then I was feeling the rawness of my grief in that second year.
Yeah.
And my test to that second year was really rough. That's really when my anxiety and everything, you know, kicked in. And now going into my third year, it'll be 3 years on December 1st. And you know, it's finally like, okay, I feel like I can breathe, you know, now and be able to, you know, just not have so much anxiety. But it is a process. It really is. And you just have to allow yourself to go through it, you know, just be okay with it and just give yourself permission. You know, when you're feeling it, you just have to write it out and just go with it. That's all you do. You know, that's how we heal and how we're able to move forward.
Right. And I think you have to tell people too, like, because this is what I said, like when my aunt came up and I said, I just don't want to sit there and talk about my son the whole time. And so I had Jimmy just say, you know, you got to put your boundaries in. And just, I find it's easier sometimes to talk to people that have a loss. If I'm going to talk about my son at this point,
Yep.
And talk about to people whose like families are all intact and everything is fine, you know, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I had a great time visiting with my aunt, but I just don't want to talk about that right now. You know, I'm not ready.
Yeah. And that's your choice. And kudos to you for letting that be known. I have a question for the panel. Things that you used to do with your loved ones are you able to do now? Now, my reference is every weekend, my daughter and I and my youngest daughter, and I mean, a bunch of friends, we would always meet at the house and play poker every weekend. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun, so many laughs, you know, really good times. I cannot sit at a poker table.
Aw.
I cannot. I've tried and I can't do it. Not even online can I sit at a poker table online. For one of the anniversaries of my daughter's death, my youngest daughter said, "Mom, you know, let's honor Angel and let's do this poker," because we all loved poker. And she was the first one to say, "Is it poker weekend this weekend?" You know. And I said, "You know, we can try." I said, I don't know that I can do it. And I sat there and I had my cards in my hand and I had to put them down. I couldn't. Any of you do that? I mean, have something special that a song that you would sing to your loved one or whatever, and now you just can't bring yourself to doing that.
I guess I have a few things. Like, is the train bothering anybody? Is that too loud?
Oh, I don't hear much.
I can't hear it either.
We live right by a train track, and there's a train going by. Well, we would always, for the last 7 years, go up to our lake house in Michigan with our best friends. They have 4 kids. We have the 3 kids, and our first 2 kids are exactly the same age, and then Amelia fell in between their 2 youngest ones. Okay, and we were all best friends. And we would always go up to our lake house in Michigan for Memorial Day weekend, and we would celebrate Amelia's birthday because her birthday is May 29th. And, you know, of course, on Facebook, my memories, you know, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years, it just keeps popping up, you know, that we celebrated her birthday, you know, so that's really tough for me to see. But since Amelia passed away, I haven't been able to go up there for Memorial weekend. And I really haven't been able to go to Michigan very often because, like, we would go up to, my mom would come up with us, and my, you know, for like a week at a time, you know, a lot during the summers. And that was like our place to go. We would have a blast, you know, and up there maybe 2 Labor Day weekend since Amelia passed. And this year was the first Memorial Day weekend that I actually went back. And it was really hard. I didn't want to go, but my husband and the kids wanted to go. So I just, you know, said I got to suck it up. And you know what, I've just got to do it. And, you know, so I did. And it was very, very hard. But I also too felt very connected to her because she loved that place. I found the bin that she called Token. We have huge bullfrogs up there, and she'd be in there slopping around. Mark bought her, you know, rain boots and frog net and a little hat. And we have that actually hanging up in our screen room up there with a big canvas print of her. We have there in her boots and her rain hat, you know, hanging up there, you know, in memory of her. And I saw that Frogtown bin and I was just like, oh crap, I'm not going to lose it. I'm not, you know, and I didn't. It was hard, but I did it, you know, and now I know that I can go there on Memorial, you know, and the grocery store you were saying earlier, Laura, like your daughter, Amelia always went with me, and she always opened up the bags for me that you would put your fruits and vegetables in because I could never do it. And she would grab it for me. Let me do it, mommy. And she would open it for me. And every time I have gone to the grocery store since she's passed, I'm like, geez, I can't open these stupid bags. I have to walk over to like the produce that's wet and like get my fingers wet and open, you know, the bags. And I just say to her, how in the world did you do this, Bump? Every time she would just, you know, open them up. And then she loved the band Fifth Harmony, and that's all I would hear coming from her room all the time, you know. And actually at her services, you know, as sad as it was, obviously, we refused to have like the typical funeral music playing. And I went out and bought an iPod, and my daughter Maddie like loaded Nicki Minaj and Fifth Harmony and you know, all these groups that Amelia loved. And that was the music that we had at Amelia's funeral, at her services, because that was just who she was, you know. So
awesome.
I can finally now listen to Fifth Harmony, you know, and smile and sing along because that's what she would sing, you know, in the back seat, you know, all the time. But it's taken a while to get there.
Well, it's been 10 years since my daughter passed. And the other day I was going through my YouTube channel and I saw the video that we had made to play during her services. And I clicked on it. I was scared. Boy, I was scared to click on it. Didn't know what my heart was going to do when I listened to it. I couldn't listen to it. You know?
I had one of those moments, just actually not this weekend, last weekend. So my mom and I, we would go swimming all the time. My mom taught to swim. My mom was a lifeguard, and so she taught me to swim, and she was a very good swimmer, and so that was something that we did. I mean, every Sunday all through the summers, and last weekend I was so looking. I love the heat. I live in Idaho, and so was looking forward to the heat. And we have a pool here where I live, and so the base was going to be open in lieu of the virus. And I was walking Pippa. I wanted to walk past the pool, and I walked past, and I was really looking forward to seeing it, probably going. And there was a mom, and she had her daughter was probably about 10. The mom was sitting on the side of the pool. Her daughter was in the pool, and it never happened to me before. But I just started crying. And I looked over and it was a snapshot of memory of my daughter and I as well. As something we did together, and something that I'm not doing with her now. And then also my mom and I with that, the swimming thing. And because my brother drowned, my daughter started swimming lessons when she was born. So that was a big thing for us too. So yeah, I think I'm still okay to do it, but it really caught me off guard. Here it is, how many years later, and I just, all it took was just that sight.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to ask you, everyone on the panel actually, about the impact of, because you mentioned YouTube and Facebook. So other than being a computer geek, which is my day job, I also have a psych degree, and I think we're all crazy curious people, with something we have in common in this group community. But I wonder what you guys think about the health of social media and the impact it has on sad things, not the death reminders about people, but because when we didn't have it, you obviously still thought of them. But if you wanted to see pictures or things, if you didn't have them on the wall, you'd have to go dig them out, get the photo albums out or whatever, right? And but now, whether it's children, dogs, whatever, every single day, bam, it's right in front of us, like your memories, right? One of the first things I do every day is look at the memories. I want to look at the memories, but they're not always good. And I also have wondered about the impact to us all as a human society of this stuff that is hard memories right in our face, day after day after day. What do you guys think about that?
I can tell you, Kim, for me, that helps me with so many losses that in 2009, my daughter, my mom, my dad, and all in the month of March. March is, well, I don't get along with March at all. But going through the memories come up, I look at the pictures and I look what I wrote that year, when the memory comes up, and I just look at the picture and close my eyes and remember the things in the past, like what my daughter and I would do, or the fun times that I would have with my dad on the computer. I was here in Texas and he's in Pennsylvania. The laughs that we would have while on the computer. The different things that I went through with the loved ones when they were alive. Now there are sad days. Yes, I'm not going to lie. There's times where a memory will pop up and it's like somebody put a knife in my heart. But then for a minute, you have to close your eyes and look at the happy side. And that's what gets me through, is thinking of the happy things and feeling blessed that they were in.
Yeah.
I
And
had oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
I was just gonna say, I
Oh,
first off of all social media pretty much for the first year after Amelia passed away, just because I knew, like, on Facebook, you know, I would be seeing memories, and plus I just wasn't in the right headspace. I just didn't feel like being on Facebook, or, you know, and not that it has, like, I can even compare it to what you had to deal with, Carolyn, with those trolls, but we did have some people in this small community that we live with that, you know, were not saying very nice things about us apparently on social media, because, you know, our kids didn't get the flu shot. So they were saying, oh, they killed their daughter because she didn't get the flu shot. How many people actually get that? Okay, whatever. Like, now you're gonna be like, you're idiots. It's whatever. Okay, you know, so people were telling me just stay out. And then rumors were, oh, she had meningitis, stay away from them. It was, but I wasn't reading this, but my good friends were saying, fine, just stay off of it. So I thought, you know what? Wow. Okay. Like, we're going through something horrible, and you have these people that are just being god awful, and they have no clue what's actually going on. Like, you know, so I didn't go on Facebook until Amelia's the 1 year anniversary of her passing. And I just went on long enough to post a picture of her that she took a selfie of herself on my phone, and on her 11th birthday. You know, I just went on and just said, you know, that we're okay, you know. And it was after that point then that, with Facebook in particular, those memories, like I said before, you know, like, I love those memories now, like, you know, because I could, there are most days I can look back at them and smile, but then there are days where, even though I feel fine, if I see it, it just takes my breath away, and I just cry for a half an hour. You know, it's just, grief is just that roller coaster of emotion. You just don't know what you're going to get from day to day, minute to minute. You just have to go with it and let yourself feel it, give yourself permission to feel it, and then just you're going to come out the other side, you know, better than you were 20 minutes before, you know. But so for me, in the beginning, I stayed away from it, but now I do love it. I love to see each day what memories I'm going to see, because if it includes Amelia, I love it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot about that. Or, oh yes, I remember that day. That was wonderful. Oh my gosh, we had so much fun. And my mom and I share a lot of memories, you know, together on Facebook. So we'll say to each other, see this, like, oh, do you remember this day? We loved that time together. So now I'm grateful for Facebook and those memories, because who knows if I would have had those otherwise, you know. But she'll forever on, you know, in Facebook world anyway. I mean, she will in me, but, you know, there are things that I would not have probably remembered had I not posted them on Facebook, you know.
Very true.
Yep.
I was going to say, to your question about, are there things that remind you, you know, or that you do or that you see? And for me, it was really hard, because the catalyst thing was my ex-husband left, and we used to talk to the dogs in like little kind of baby voices. And so every time I talked to my dog, I would think of him. And it took 3 years to finally be able to do it without getting super sad. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard, definitely hard. I don't know, Carolyn, should I go now, or does anyone on the East Coast need to go first? Oh, I can't hear anybody.
You can go ahead and tell your story.
Keep going when you're ready. Yeah, I think so. Go ahead.
Carolyn, is that okay? I don't even know where my Slack is. Okay. So.
Oh, sorry, Alicia. I was on mute.
Oh no, that's okay.
Oh.
I'm trying to be.
I was just trying to see if Pia. I don't think Pia. Pia, are you able to get yourself off of mute?
I'm trying. Can you hear?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, I'm in New Mexico, so I'm not on the East Coast.
Oh, okay, because I didn't know. All right. So yeah, Alicia, if you want to go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So, wow. Let's see here. So I'm just going to list a series of things that went on and just kind of what's brought me to where I am right now today. So time for me became a blur on June 14th, 2015, when my ex-husband left, and kind of like shockingly, like I had no idea. It blindsided me, and I was already sick with MS, so I had MS for 6 years, probably longer, but at least diagnosed for that long. And then at first I just prayed because I got this anxiety that came over me, and I never had anxiety like that ever in my life. And it's like, that's the worst thing that anyone can experience is anxiety. And the whole PTSD, one of you had alluded to that. Like, I think we do have PTSD from the traumas that go on, and the fear of like, oh, the other shoe's gonna fall, or the sky is falling, or this sense of dread, and so, but it wasn't that bad back then because my health wasn't that bad. And then the problem was the divorce took years, and there was a lot of fighting, and I was the one that had stuff to lose. I had assets, I had property, things like that, and I wasn't working and hadn't been for a few years. And so you have to know about me, like I come from a long line of like progressive and labor union leaders, and like I grew up campaigning, and I grew up wanting to be the first woman president, and I was always a mentor to women and girls. I was president of the National Organization for Women for 5 years. I've run women campaigns, like just so many different things, run campaigns around the country. Like I've done a lot. I used to be the one who had the dinner parties and the New Year's party and the neighborhood block party and shared produce and coupons, and sat on boards of directors and went to meetings before work, went to work. I'm a workaholic. I exercised a ton. Like I just did so much. And then this happened, and after the first year, I started getting anaphylactic shock and having to go in the ambulance. Like I was 44 before I ever went in an ambulance. And it seemed like I was going like every other month, and they couldn't figure out what was causing it. Like the first time I was in a hip hop dance class at 24 Hour Fitness, and they had to bring the gurney. Like it was nuts. And every time they would take me, I would think, oh, I'm fine. But everybody was like, the paramedics, like one time, one of them said to the other, she's so young. And I was like, don't worry. Like they were like seriously worried about me. And I wasn't, because I had faith in my body and my strength. And after a while that wore off, and it's gone. So once you lose faith in your body, in your health, it's a whole other ball game. And so just the divorce, it was ugly. And just the betrayal and just feeling abandoned. And like I had given everything to my marriage. Like I overgave. I was an overcaregiver, blah, blah, blah. So my neighbor, he was his pastor and his wife. Like I prayed so much. I went to church. I was like trying to pray it away. Like, and of course menopause has to come in then too, right? And so it's like God's definitely not a woman, right? But and I had grown up with eye problems. When I was 12, my left eye started hurting me, and it was from, we don't know what caused it, but it came about on a night of a huge family trauma, huge. It was never resolved. So it was one of those, like, you don't ever talk about it. And so I know it's all related, but anyway, so I wrote notes, so I'm going to stay on track here. So I lost my marriage. I lost my ability to have children, like my career, my legacy, and my legacy was important to me. Sometimes I'll say I wasn't a box maker. No shade to box makers. We need boxes. But I wasn't. Like to him, much is given, much is expected. And I was given a lot of skills, talents, and gifts to share. with, helping empower women and girls and just so many things. And here, now I can't do anything. And so even I used to teach dance. I used to sit on boards of directors and just do so many things. And John left in June, and my grandma, my dad's mom, died in November. And then my mom's best friend, 57 years, died. And then my nephew's grandmother died like 4 days later. And those are like three major matriarchs in my life. Like, they knew me my whole life. And it was just so hard. And because my grandma was the one that I would call when I was sick, because she was sick, but she was tough. She was tough because I joke, like, she had breast cancer when she was 37, and she had a heart attack the same day Tony Soprano had a heart attack, and he died and she lived, and I'm like, that's my grandma, And anyway, so I lost them, and my dogs were aging. I had them, like, I waited for my dogs, like, to be conceived. And it's Boo Boo Bear and Lexi Bear. And Boo Boo made it almost to 16, and Lexi made it to 16 and a half. And in 2018, I had to put them both down. And that was so hard, because I always thought I would have children before I had to put either one of them down. And all the while, my health was deteriorating even more and more. I had more lesions on my brain and my spine, and my hair was starting to fall out. There was all these symptoms, and I wasn't paying attention, because I was just trying to be there for my dogs, because they had a rough kind of go at the end there, which was super hard. And and I was still trying to manage my rental and my Airbnb and just my life, and also, like, I can eat 5 things in life now, so I have to be hyper vigilant about anything I put in my mouth or products I use on my body or in my home. And I'm just always inflamed, and it's a problem. And so, like, I'm MS lupus, menopause, I'm hypothyroid, I have some clotting factors, there's, other things going on. It's a big deal. I don't have the sniffles. I don't have the flu. It's not going away. And that's the thing, is, like, I wish I could just get, like, break, symptoms stop. Like, right now, every day I feel like I wake up and there's increased pain, and my threshold for pain is lower. There's more symptoms. I'm scared. And now I'm losing possibly my home, which this is my home, like, with the quarantine, it's like I lost Airbnb because nobody could travel, nobody could come, and I gave up my rental a while ago because it's like, I couldn't do that. And then, so now we're looking into assisted living apartment for under 55. I'm 49. I look really young. I used to look much younger before the last 2 years when lupus came on. Like, my hair fell out. I lost 1.5 inches in height. Like, I lost all the body mass, like, from my shoulders, and it just feels, I'm cold all the time, and I feel like my joints are broken, and my toenails got thick, and the tips of the skin on my toes got thick, and my fingernails got so weak and brittle, and just so many, like, my face is so much. And so now I'm having to give up, like, my home and my plants and my yard and my plum trees and my garden, and just, like, my autonomy. And self-sufficiency is such a huge deal to every human being, and they're like, I feel like I have no agency in my life. And I'm one of these that's like, give me Tony Robbins, give me, Joel Osteen, give me motivational speakers. I used to go to middle schools and speak to gyms full of girls talking about what would you do if you couldn't fail, possibilizing, and And I used to be the most positive person everybody knew. I used to be the strongest person everybody knew. I used to be so resourceful. And, you know, I'm not that person anymore. And what I get is people saying, oh, you got this. Oh, you're so strong. Oh, you have my mom's, her thing is like, oh, you just have such great friends. And to me, it's such a, like, it's to shut me up. Oh, you're so strong. Now shut up and don't complain and whatever. I don't want to hear about it. Like, that's what I hear. Like, and so I've had to like scream from the rooftops, from the mountaintops, like, I'm not strong. Like, I'm not okay. Like, and for me to ask for help is so hard because I never used to ask for help at all. I used to help people, and I still am helping people. Even now, when I'm so sick, you know, like I had helpers, and anyway, I'm not even gonna go into it, but it's just I'm very resourceful, and I'm a natural giver. I'm a natural caretaker. I'm a natural, and I'm super generous to a fault, and but when you're like in the worst time of your life, like you're not gonna have the best boundaries, and you know, like people are like, well, just do this, well, just blah, and there's no just, especially when, you know, your doctors are giving you poison, and I don't trust my doctors anymore. I don't trust the medicine. Like, I'm mad at God. Like, when Carolyn was saying everything she said to her sister, like, there is no God. How could God let this happen? Like, everything she said, I could have said verbatim. Verbatim, I knew that. And it's like, the time the most when you need God. And where is he? And, like, if I die, where do I go? Am I going to be in purgatory? Am I going to be, like, if I'm not okay with God, like, what's going to happen to me? Like, that's a problem for me. Some people, they don't care about that. Like, I miss prayer. And I will pray for other people. But to pray for myself is, I feel like, why bother? You know, and I want to be wrong. I feel like I'm like the rebellious teenager with God. Like, okay, God, you can't give me any like good attention. How about negative attention? How about negative attention, God? You know, and I've had many, and I've lost my voice cursing God out because this is wrong. This is not right. This is beyond lessons. There's no lesson here. It surpassed that long ago, and it's just cruel now. And that which doesn't kill you does not always make you stronger. That's bullshit. Excuse my French. Sometimes you're just left on your stomach, crawling, gasping for air. Lift your head, and there's like a steel-toed boot on your neck, like that guy George Floyd. But I used to say this all the time before that even happened. Like, it's like, aha, silly you trying to take a breath of air. You don't deserve air. And it's ridiculous because I don't believe that. Like, I'm a good person. I bring the sunshine. I'm the glue. You know, I'm the breath of fresh air. I'm Sagittarius. I'm fire. I'm the life of the party. I'm, you know, like funny. And so puking 3 hours a day and having muscle spasms for all night, you know, and on these ridiculous dementia-causing meds. And it's not a life. It's not a life. And like, I'm so grateful for this channel because I'm up all the time, and it's just so good to have hear humans, you know, like, and I'm just grateful when people are sharing their stories. It's good. I don't want other people to suffer, but it's good to know I'm not alone, because I feel so alone and isolated. And I'm holding back, trying not to like vent or spew on my friends and family, you know, but I don't even feel human because it's like I can't be a friend. I feel like I can't be the person I want to be. I can't be, you know, I can't be the daughter I want. I can't be anything because I'm just trying to breathe, literally. And the thing that got me is like, people were just so quick to want me to not have a thing in my life. Like, oh, don't get another pet. That's too much work for you. Oh, don't get a plant. Don't do your plums this year. Don't get renters. Don't do Airbnb. Don't, like, and it's like, what are you talking about? I deserve to have a life and a family and things to invest in. Like, life is work. Life is work. I'd much rather be working towards building a life than just drooling in a diaper in a wheelchair in a cement 6x6, you know, studio apartment. And people mean well. Some people mean well. Not everybody means well. Not everybody's a good person. And I learned this the hard way. And some people, they just want to hear you for entertainment purposes or whatever. I don't know. And now with the quarantine, it's like people are being pushed to the edge, so they're not in their best place either. So it's a height, like the energy is heightened, and I'm so sensitive to it. And I never used to be. I used to be a workaholic. I used to be able to push through everything. And to go into what,
Leisha, what do you, like, because I think you're grieving for your health, your good health. You've lost your health, right? And you can't do the things you want to do. You're grieving because you lost your marriage. You're grieving.
I'm grieving because I'm losing, like, my entire life, like,
right.
It's gone. Like, so, I didn't think I was going to make it to my last birthday in December. And
right.
So,
what are you able to do, like, to help? Do you see a counselor about this, or?
I did, and then that I had a long time counselor. And I'm sorry, but when we were talking about the first time we talked about the assisted living, she wanted to bring in my parents. I don't know why people think, oh, let's call your sisters. Oh, let's call your parents. Like, they're going to come in and help me. It's not going to happen. But so my therapist met with my parents a few times. And this is a therapist that I've had on and off for over 10 years. She's helped me through a lot of things. And I grew up in an alcoholic home. I have a lot of, like, baggage from that, like, codependent, like, just anyway. So after she met with them, like, she kind of was like, the next time one time we talked, and I felt like she was shaming me about my anger. And literally it took me like 3 years to even access my anger in working with her when we were working on neuroplasticity and building new neural networks and things like that. And so I was like, oh my God. And my reaction was to be the good girl and to be like, oh yeah, I'm not angry, da da da. And then I realized what happened, and I was like, oh, that is, so the trust was broken. Like, and so, like, it's like, I don't have a therapist. I don't anymore.
Well, I think you need some type of support, you know, somewhere. I mean, for what you're going through, because it sounds like, you know, you're carrying a lot around, and I think you really do need something. Now, are you able to get disability for your?
I've submitted the application 3 times, and they keep coming back with who knows what. And
do you have lawyers that, you know, because as far as I know with disability, like Jimmy's sister, she had to get one of those lawyers that, you know, you don't have to pay anything. They take whatever you get. They take a little part of that. But they're basically, I don't know, at least in New York, that's the only way you get it, is when you hire one of those attorneys and they fight for it. And at least, I mean, that would help you with, even, you say you're losing your house or something, but
I mean, I'm not losing my, I'm not losing it financially. I'm losing it because I need help. So I'm gonna have to probably go
okay.
to assistant. Yeah, so I'm okay financially.
Okay.
But I need to get disability because my parents can't help me forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're 75 years old, and so, but the problem is, Carolyn, is my brain is, I used to be really smart, really with it, and really like, and so that's what everybody expects from me. And like, I need help, like, following through, like, things fall through the cracks, because, like,
well, you're mentally and physically exhausted. I mean, you got to give yourself.
Well, and I'm impaired. I have lesions on my brain, and I have these meds that are causing me, you know. Right. And so it's, when Carolyn's saying, you know, Lisa D's 1 day on, 2 days off, that's how I am in life. Like, if I get a few hours today, I'm going to be in bed for 2 or 3 days and, like, out of it. Like, I'm not going to make a phone call. I'm not going to, maybe I'll look at a text, but I don't even want to text. I don't even want to blink my eyes. So, right. You know, like, I'm just putting out fires.
Well, that happens when you're so sick and you're not getting sleep and you're physically and mentally exhausted. I gave myself a terrible concussion when I lived in Germany. And for 13 years, I had vertigo 24/7, and I still kept my job. And they kept trying to give me more and more medicine, and I was getting worse and worse and worse. And come to find out, I was allergic to the medicine. And they had me on like 6 different medicines at the same time. And it got so bad where I had to carry a trash bag around in the house because I couldn't make it to the bathroom, throwing up. And it literally got so bad that I couldn't even swallow a pill. And then by accident, because I couldn't swallow pills because I just kept throwing them up, that's how I found out that I was allergic to the binders in the medicine. And the vertigo
I've gone to a lot of alternative therapies and things like that, and those things are usually the thing that will help. But, like, even before the quarantine, like, it's like I couldn't get it to even go to the doctor, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I'm supposed to go to get an MRI, and I don't think I can stay in there that long, you know, because it's 45 minutes each, and I need 4 of them, and you can't move or you have to start over. They want me to go on another cancer, like, it's just ridiculous. And I need an advocate, and I need more than what, because the MS Society has had an advocate, but she can barely, like she'll do her little part, and then I can't follow through because my brain doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? And then I've asked certain people to help me, and they don't.
Do you have in your doctor's office? They normally have a patient care advocate. Have you asked in your doctor's office? Either the doctor's office or the hospital?
I've been playing phone tag with that person, but it's, again, I'm.
Where do you live?
In Colorado.
Okay. Colorado Springs or where?
Denver.
Where in Colorado? Denver.
Okay. Yeah. So it's, to look at me, you would think, oh, Alicia has it all. Oh, she's set. Bop, 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 bop. You know, and if you talk to me, you think, oh, she's fine. She has it. She has her wherewithal, blah, blah. I don't. Like.
Well, what we had to do with my dad, because he had fallen before he passed away, and he couldn't stay in the MRI. So we had told the doctors to knock him out, and my dad would refuse to take not even an aspirin. He was, you know, he could take a lot of pain, and then he was stubborn. But he needed to have these scans, and so we had the doctors knock him out, and they scheduled the scans back to back while he was knocked out because he wasn't able to stay still if he was semi-alert. And maybe you can do that.
Okay.
coordinate that with your the hospital and your doctor, because you need those scans, and unfortunately you're probably going to come up empty-handed like I did, because I've had so many scans and everything, but I've been where you've been at. It's really hard.
Yeah, and I'm, like, yeah, so I have 2 new dog rescues, and I love them so much, and they're like my reason for going on, but like a lot of these advanced symptoms are new the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. So
it could just be the stress, because it's
well, and I'm the type that you're not going to hear about it till I'm at a 10 or a 20.
Right, because you're holding everything in like I do. You imploding, and then once your body says uncle, it's a little too late.
Yeah, and I'm always done for myself. I've always done for myself, and so I'm always like, okay, I'm in it, and it's so hard for me, like,
right, you've never
even
given
just
yourself a time
people
out.
are like, well, just lower your standards. Lower your standards, and
you don't have to lower your standards.
Your goal has to be just to get out of bed every day. And it's like, are you kidding? Like, I'm like, there's so many things going on here, and I appreciate everybody listening, and it's okay. No, I'm just, like now I'm gonna have to get.
Excuse me, Lisha.
Yeah.
Lisha. P. Snittle said that they would like to offer to you to contact her if you're interested, that your story reminds her of her own MS journey, and she'd love to be support for you if you would allow her to.
Oh, that would be great. I'm open to anybody. Like, you can friend me on Facebook.
Well, why don't you just send me your email, PSnittle, and I will connect you with Alicia's email.
And I'm on Facebook under my first and middle name, Leisha Danielle. I'm friends with some ramblers on there, and like.
She might not be on there, so I think the email is.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm tough, and I even feel a little bit better now having just gotten that out. Even though it like makes it real because I spoke it. But I think we're stronger together, and thank you for listening to me, everyone.
Absolutely.
It means a lot. It means a lot just to be heard, and
yes,
just to be like acknowledged, like I'm sure, Mommy, you understand, like we all turn into like little kids when you're like saying hello to us, and it means so much just to hear our name, we're all like 6 years old again when you're saying hi. Did you say hi to me? It's like, oh my God, Leisha, are you like almost 50 years old? Yes, I am, and I want Mommy to say hi to me. I want her to say Leisha. It's kind of funny, but it's like, oh, I get a little kick out of it. It's like, oh, she said hi to me, and so I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in, and yeah, I'll connect you up with PSnittle, and if anybody else, you can send me the email, and I'll connect you.
And I'm open if people have ideas or this or that, because I know a lot of sick people are like, don't tell me, have you tried this? I'm the opposite. Like, that's hyperbaric treatments. It's how I learned about hyperbaric treatments, how I learned about protandem, all kinds of different things. It's from people being like, well, have you tried, so.
Have you tried the hyperbaric?
I have, and right now I can't with lupus.
Oh.
And this heaviness on my chest, it's helped me before, like when my right arm wouldn't work, and because I've like not walked before. I mean, I haven't learned to walk before, and like I went to Chicago with 5,000 people and walked on hot coals with Tony Robbins, and like I've gone a lot, and it's just I'm so worn down right now.
Right.
I'm like.
I thought the hyperbaric chamber was good for lupus. No, I thought it was.
Well, see, there's so many things you have to watch out for because it could like.
Right. I did that for 2 months.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of chest pressure.
Oh, gotcha.
From lupus, it does the lining of your chest and your heart, inflames it. So like I'm not, and I even have $2,000 credit there, and I'm wanting to go. I love it there, but I can't. And so, but
it's
and
not
I'm
covered
already.
by. It's
Oh
not covered
no,
by health insurance.
nothing's covered. Are you kidding? Are you
Oh.
kidding me? Ha, ha. This country, oh my God, forget it.
Well, Leisha, I don't want to cut you off, but it's
No, thank you.
No, just because Pia's got to go, and then we wanted to do something like fun afterwards. So I just want to watch the time a little bit.
Yes, let's
We're
do
gonna
something
this
fun.
again. It's not a one-time thing.
You'll be in my prayers, Alicia.
It's not a one-time.
Thank you. And if anybody ever thinks of something, and just find me or whatever. Like, don't feel like, oh my God, I don't want to bring it up to her.
Right.
You won't offend me. Believe me.
All right. If anybody wants Leisha's information, just email me and I'll connect you guys up. Thanks for calling in, Leisha.
Thank you.
And that things get better.
They're already better. Thank you for listening.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, Pia.
Well, mine will be relatively quick because I'm still in the shock phase. My dad. He passed away in September.
Sorry to hear.
He fell, and then he had to go to the emergency room. I'm in New Mexico, and I was born and raised in California. So my brother called, and I flew out to California, and my husband was we were trying to heal his foot because he had burned it. So we were doing the hyperbaric chamber. I was taking him 5 days a week for 6 weeks. We were going a round trip to Santa Fe. So we were doing like 175 miles a day. And luckily, Dad, not luckily, but it just so happened that it was towards the very last treatment on my husband when my dad passed away. No, my dad fell, and they found a mass. First, he refused. When they called the ambulance, he jacked himself out of the emergency room because he didn't want to do the scan. And so my brother called me because my dad was ornery, and he could take a lot of pain. So I had to call him, and I told him to get back to the emergency room the next day because he signed himself out against doctor's orders because my father's side of the family, they're all doctors, and he just didn't want to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So he went back all right, and then he checked himself out against doctor's orders again. And my brother, it took a week, and somehow they found a mass in his liver, and it was cancer. And we had to go through this whole thing, and I was trying to get to California, but taking care of my husband. And my dad never really came out of the hospital. I flew to California, and I had to deal with the hospital staff with my father because my brother's too kind of a person, and they kept telling me different things, and they would do a buzzword. Like first it was rehab, and then I would go and check the rehab, and then they go, no, it's not rehab, it's assisted living. And then it went from assisted living to hospice, and they kept telling me that we need to get him out of the hospital. I'm like, well, if you would tell me everything up front the first time and it'd be accurate, I wouldn't be wasting my time spinning my wheels. And so I had to take care of that, go to the chief of staff, and because they told me they had discharged my father. Oh, crazy. But anyway, that he lasted. Dad didn't know what hospice meant, so I had to explain to him what a hospice meant. And luckily, when you presented 6 months, but he he didn't last a week. He passed away within 3 weeks. So I didn't want my brother to be alone. I'm the youngest of 4. And so once Dad passed away, I couldn't do anything until I got the death certificate. So I flew back home, and I was arranging the funeral from here, New Mexico. And then I flew back out in October for the funeral, and stayed some time. And then I came back, and I'm the trustee of the Dad's estate. And so I have to deal with that. And so I would fly back. I'd fly back to New Mexico, and then I'd fly back to California, and I was trying to do that every month because I couldn't really leave my husband for no more than 4 days. And so then on December, I flew out on the first day, and we had a home health care nurse come in and take care of the wounds on the feet. And she had said that she couldn't get in touch with my husband. I said, I'll call him because he's probably like I will. You pick up the cell phone and you turn off the volume by accident. And so I got him on the phone, and that was fine. And then the very next day, the second day, we couldn't get in touch with him, and he wouldn't answer either phone. And so finally the home health care nurse, her and I were both worried, she was just a godsend. So her and her husband came back later in the evening, and she had to crawl through our window, and she found him on the family room floor. And so they took him to the hospital. He had a UTI. And so he was in the hospital since December, and I didn't fly back to California since Phil was in the hospital. And they took him to rehab because he was a diabetic, but the diabetes attacked his bones, so he'd get a bone infection. So he'd have like a little nip here on the toe and a little toe there. And so with the bone infection, they needed to put a PICC line in, which meant he had to go to rehab. So he was in rehab, and I'd go most every day. And then one day he was really, really sick. It was on my birthday. And we took him to the emergency room. And then they told me that we had 103 fever, and I knew he was warm because I kept saying to the staff, he's warm. And they kept checking him, so I never went back to them, but they were checking him, with their machines, but it says, no, he doesn't have a temperature. And I'm cooling him down with cold water. And finally they kept saying they couldn't keep the oxygen level in him, and he never had oxygen before, but he couldn't keep the oxygenation level, And so a new nurse had come in, and they said, Lori, we need to get him to the emergency room. I'm like, yeah, I would have loved to call. And had I known he was 103 fever, I would have called 911 myself. But they kept telling me he didn't have a fever. And so when the ambulance came, I had taken everything out in the car, and I had told the ambulance, I didn't realize that when I took the blankets, because I'd bring special blankets in for him and everything, and I told the ambulance people, I have the blankets. He goes, ma'am, he's got 103 fever. He doesn't need a blanket. And, I was really upset because I had felt that he had a fever, but they kept telling me no, and they kept checking his thing. So anyway, they got the whatever was down, and they readmitted him to the hospital. And then a few days later, they said that the bone infection on the one that we were saving, and come to find out, they had exposed the one wound on his other foot. They exposed it to the pathogens because when I went in one day, he didn't have any coverings on his wound. And the nurse, I didn't think she was a nurse. She told me she didn't have to put coverings on them because it wasn't in the order. So he was putting his foot
with no protection on the ground. And if he'd go to the restroom, so he was get up and down because he could put weight on that foot. And I said, you just exposed him to so many pathogens. Well, less than 10 days was when he had the 103 fever. And then a few days later, they said that he had MRSA. And then they said that they had the bone infection on the foot that was supposed to be good was bad. And they had to do an amputation. So we went through the amputation while he was in the hospital. I was there every day because we had private rooms and I didn't want to leave his sight. And then I got sick in the hospital, actually. I thought I got food poisoning. I don't know if I did or not, but I was so sick because we had to wear coverings. We didn't have to wear the face mask, but because of the MRSA, I'd have to wear the yellow gown and the blue gloves. Well, I was in there and I would, because, I didn't want my loved one suffering or having any problems, so I did all the work. And I'd have, if I could do it by myself, I got pretty good. And I'd have the staff come in and when because he couldn't get up to go to the restroom. And so I'd have them check the stuff. And so if somebody came in, I'd have it all ready, and I would always help them. And then eventually I was able to do everything myself. But then I got so sick and I couldn't go in for 3 days because I had a fever. And then he went into the rehab.
Hang on, let's switch. What happened?
I don't know. I thought somebody said, hold up. Well, anyway, so when he was in the rehab, then COVID started, and I wasn't able to see him or talk with him for 3 days because the place that I had him in, and we had him moved, I would ask them to have them call me, and they would say yes, they would, but then he wouldn't call me, and I was starting to take pictures of everything because the service was so bad. And the reason they wouldn't call me was they had his phone, the landline phone, in the corner, which was 4 feet away under a pillow. And the more I would comment, the worse it got. Well, anyway, so with the COVID, it all stopped. They just slammed the door shut. And I was frantic for 3 days trying to get him moved, and I got him moved because I was talking to the chief. I went even to the chief of staff to the hospital that had discharged him, and they contacted me with this head honcho on this one thing, and we got him moved. And so that night, the man said that he got him moved, and the next morning I got a call from the place, and they said he's doing great. He's resting. As soon as he wakes up, Lori, because they knew that I hadn't spoken to him and I was frantic. And they said they would have him call me. And I said, it's okay. I know he needs his rest. I know he's safe. I know he's okay. Let him rest. And you can call me later. Well, then not even 2 hours later, a friend of mine called me and said my husband was non-responsive. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, they just called me and said he was fine. Come to find out that the staff had my good numbers, and the hospital system, even though, you go in and you update the stuff, they never update it in the system. So they had all of our old numbers that weren't good. Luckily, they had this other person that was a friend. They had a number in there. I don't know how that happened, but thank goodness it did. So I jumped in the car because they said he was non-responsive, and I was figuring they were going to take him to the emergency room. So I jumped up and drove like a mad woman to the hospital. I was at the emergency room because I figured that I could beat him there, but they never revived because they were doing the CPR. And he never came back. And in between that, so that was March 13th. And in February, because Dad passed away in September, and then a good friend of ours passed away in February, like a week after my birthday, and then Phil on the 13th. So I'm kind of like still in shock, and I have to deal with the estate in California and deal with everything here in New Mexico. And if I don't go downstairs, I could pretend my husband is downstairs. And with the COVID, you know, I could button up and not leave anywhere. And the only time I have to go out is if I need to get the cats water, or their food. But, you know, I've got enough food. You know, I bought the meat and the chicken, and then the dry food, I can have that delivered. But the water I have to go get. You know, I could stay down here for like 3 months. And so I haven't, what, I don't know, 2 days ago, I had to go and get my car repaired because it won't keep a battery. And, but I've been in the house for 3 weeks. So, you know, I very rarely go outside. And so now, next week, it will be my 3rd time to go to the vet without Phil, because I have to get the cats their allergy shots. And so it's amazing what some, you know, I still feel like it's March 13th, but then I feel like forever. But like going to the pharmacy, you know, next month I'll have to go to the pharmacy. But you know, going to get the meat for the cats, you know, I can count how many times, you know, I've had to do it by myself. But so I don't have anger right now because I'm still numb, and I can try and sleep through my grief because I can't leave the house. We're just getting where they're relaxing the standards, but I still wouldn't trust it to go out because in Albuquerque per capita, we're in worse shape than my brother is in Sacramento. And I need to make sure I protect my brother, and throw Dad's estate and make sure everything goes. You know, I've got to create another trust for my brother, and then I've got to create a trust for myself. And so I can protect my brother from my other brother, and I want to secure all my estate to make sure that if anything happens to me, that my brother gets all of my estate, which is pretty good because I've been, you know, very fortunate. And I had retired like 2.5 years ago, and you know, my husband knew that I always wanted to go back to school, to go to law school, and I don't begrudge, you know, when I retired, the plan was, you know, that I'd take a year off and then I'd go to law school, and then, you know, with his feet and everything, I didn't get a chance. And then this one person had told me that maybe Phil just gave me a gift because he didn't want to be a burden when I went to school. And it really hurt because I could have given up law school for him. I don't need to go. I was just going to do a second career and help other people, but I could have given it up. I didn't need to go to law school, but that's where I'm at.
I'm really sorry for everything you've gone through. And well, so that's a pretty recent loss, March 13th, of your husband. Is there any grief counselor you can see online? Because I know we see ours online.
Right. Well, luckily I have a counselor that I've been going to, and that helps. And I do every week, and it's like you said, it's on the online, because I don't, you know, we had the social distancing, right. And so we've been doing it online since March, actually. So you know, I'm grateful for that.
Right.
It's really good.
And so yeah, and so were you able to have any services for him or a memorial or anything?
You know, no, I didn't, because
it had just, they had just stopped it and they had it for 5 people in the funeral home. They said, well, do you want to do it? And I'm thinking, I told the minister, I said, I don't want to put other people through the anguish of, do I go? Do I not? There's only 5 people. I said, why am I going to, just the anguish of first the death and then the anguish of, do I go and expose myself for sickness? And so I thought, let's not have anything. We'll do it later, because I wasn't going to put anybody through added anxiety, because it was all so new. And they didn't really know anything.
Right.
And the cases were so, I haven't done anything. And I never went to pick up my husband. And the only thing I finally did it when you went to your funeral, because I would try and say, okay, I'm going to get him the next day. And if I didn't go pick him up, I could, I didn't have to go down the stairs, and it didn't have to be real. And
right, yeah.
I haven't even done, the paperwork, because when I retired, I took the offset just in case that, God forbid, I predeceased my husband, he would get my retirement. Well, I took, I took $10,000 off my annuity. So, but before I did that, I asked them if he predeceases me, do I get that money back? And they said, yeah, I just have to do the death certificate. So I haven't even done that.
Yeah, usually, I mean, the funeral director got those for us.
Yeah. I was surprised because in California, they're a lot more pricey. If you buy the death certificates right at the front in New Mexico, they were like $3.50, and then they give you 2 free, bless their heart. And so I have a total of 16. I know I didn't need them, but if you went and got them afterwards, they were a lot more money. But in California, I think they were like $35 a pop.
Yeah,
so
they're more expensive in New York. And then, of course, there's only some states, like, they allow anybody to order a death certificate. I don't know, but, like in New York, you have to be the funeral director or the parent or spouse or sibling of the person, but they're more expensive. Yeah, if you order them afterwards.
Right.
They usually start you off with, like, depending on, what the assets are, like 10 or so,
Right. Luckily, my mom passed away suddenly at 62 back in 1996, right after Mom and Dad's 40th wedding anniversary. So when we did the funeral, he did his alongside. So he had bought he bought the plots, and then he bought the insurance and everything. So he had done really everything. I would just have to, I got to do that. I just have to put the little end date on the headstone, on the monument he had designed. And, but because of the COVID, I haven't been back. And even just getting a lawyer, I finally just got the lawyer to do the letters to the beneficiaries. And I'm not going to disperse anything out until after the objection period. Because I don't want to disperse anything out or, give any property away. And if there's a contention, then I have that situation. So I'm waiting for all that to happen. There's really only one person where I'm worried about, but since I have no reason to trust him, and what was kind of surprising is my father didn't trust him either, I'm being very cautious. And so he's been real fascinating, but it's okay. I after I get done with this, I don't have to deal with it again. I just want to make sure that my other brother's taken care of, and my therapist was worried about if I was suicidal or not, because my husband and I were together for 35 years. And I said, well, the good thing is that I'm going to tell you the truth anyway, but you don't have to worry about that, because I have to make sure I'm alive, to make sure that I just disperse Dad's estate to make sure that I've postured my brother with, his inheritance from my father, and then I need to posture my estate that it goes all to my elder brother if something happens to me. My dad gave my brother the house outright, which is great. I'm so pleased about that. And so my other brother is trying to have me sell the house, and I'm like, I am not. First of all, you don't get a choice in this matter. Second of all, it's Jeff's house, and if he wants to sell it, fine, I'll support him. But if he doesn't want to sell it, we're not selling it. And he's going, well, it's going to take a lot of, work to, for the renters. And I'm like, well, guess what? I'm, unlike you, I'm willing to do that for my brother to make sure that he's okay, because my other brother is not very business minded, which is great. No, it's okay. Mm-hmm. So I need to make sure that I've got that set up. And so that's, going to be a couple years. But so that's my story.
Yeah. Again, I'm really sorry. And like I said, I want to do these panels so, we can check in with each other and see how people are doing, especially because like yourself, it's a recent loss. I have a recent loss. Some people,
right.
And I think it's good and that we check in with each other and see people in the different stages. And unfortunately, there's always new people grieving. And I think having a support like that is good, not just in these times when we're here and we have to do things online, but just, some people can't get out. Some people just don't even have anyone to connect with. And I think it's really important to share that, because the greatest support I found is from the community, but also from the community of, who, in my case, has lost a child, because
right. No, I understand. Right.
You know what I mean? So, but it's just, I think it's really important thing. I don't know about how you guys feel, if you're open to doing this again and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
yeah, and I thank you for being so patient with me, trying to get me on the thing. I might need another remedial training again next time.
Yeah, no. So yeah, definitely. And I mean, we can talk about it in this Slack group as to time frame of doing them. But I think it's good that a lot of people came on this time. It's really encouraging that people were sharing and felt comfortable sharing. And it, I think, it's helped me, and I hope it's helped everyone in the panel and you guys in the audience. And you don't know who listens on a replay, that it helps too. So,
Erin, could
yeah.
Could I share real short?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I apologize. I thought it would be a good idea if I went for a bike ride before I came to the meeting, and I completely passed out.
Oh, and, no problem.
I'm really embarrassed, but I did hear a lot. And so just real quickly, I was trying to figure out what year it was. It must have been 2019. Around Thanksgiving, my niece was killed when she was riding in a car. Somebody, a young kid, she was hanging out with the wrong people. Young kid had a handgun and shot her through the seat accidentally.
Oh.
So that was, I think, 3 days before Thanksgiving. I fell in my kitchen and broke 8 bones in my foot, and I had to go to her funeral in a wheelchair. My brother couldn't go. He's the father. My brother couldn't go because he was so kind of not doing well, very fragile. I went over to see him in the wheelchair, thank God. And you'll know why I say thank God in a moment. Get through Christmas and everything. And in January, early January, I got a call at work that my brother committed suicide.
Oh.
He did it in front of his family. And there's a story behind it that complicates my grief. And that is that he had depression, and my sister-in-law knew, but my sister-in-law doesn't understand depression. She's very cheerful, and she's a nurse, and I can't understand why she doesn't understand it. But so he was threatening suicide. So I took his handgun away. Then he asked and asked for it back, and his son gave him the handgun back, and then he killed himself.
Mm.
And then that was January 3rd, I think. Then on February 14th, Valentine's Day, I got a call from my husband that the dog had disappeared, my beloved dog that I'd had. He was like 14 years old. And we, to this date, don't know what happened to him. He was taken from the yard. And I don't have children, so I have to explain that to you, that that's my child.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up, I am a Christian. I do have faith. I would say to you, I know I have a good life and I know bad times will pass, but to be honest with you, I would have liked it if those events were a little more spread out, but it is what it is. I ended up entering a group called Grief Share. They are usually associated with churches. I would say 100% associated with churches. It is biblical. I learned, we use scripture. I learned, the biggest thing I learned is there is scripture that supports that it's okay to lament. It's okay to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to cry to God. And that really helped me out a lot. And I'm going to tell you, the workbook really helped me. My mother-in-law just died on May 20th, and she was a wonderful woman. I know she's in heaven. It's weird how the griefs are different. She was in pain, and now she's out, and she had a long, good life and was 93 years. And so I am sad about that, but my grief over the other stuff is kind of intense. And what I learned is, and you've probably heard this, you can be ambushed by grief at any moment. Something, anything will touch it off. Also, as we were speaking about earlier, recovery from grief and feeling better is not linear. It's not like a chart where you're getting better every day. Mm-hmm. You start to get better, you think you're better, and then it dips. And today I had cried again about my dog. There's absolutely no closure. I have no clue what happened, and I tried really hard to get him back. But anywho, I'm really glad to be here. Glad to meet you, Carolyn. I'm
glad you could come on. And like I said, I'm glad that we all got together. And I think the next, I think other people will get the courage to come on. And I really hope it'll be a good thing that'll be beneficial to everyone.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Really great.
Like I said, now that we're all in the group, anyway, we can talk about, time frame. And I appreciate everybody, coming on and talking about everything, because it's hard stuff and it's, really painful and a lot of emotion. But I do think it's beneficial too, because I think a lot of stuff is covered up. People don't even know, like I said, like if people say stupid things, not because they're trying to be caring, but just they don't know any better sometimes, and just like little things that I've said, like I wrote a blog post and like what not to say to somebody. And somebody said, well, thank you for saying that, because sometimes, and maybe ourselves included, in another time we could say that we said something, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that, or whatever. And, so I think it's helpful to talk about it, so. But thanks for everybody for coming on. Thank you to the moderators. And, if anybody wants to get in touch with anyone, then just email me. And if you want to join the grief group where you can talk to everybody in a private Slack group, then email me and I'll get you in there. And again, a pleasure to meet all of you that I hadn't met before, face-to-face like this. And, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
For a little bit of lightheartedness, Sassy, I hear you, but I'm just going to open a new one so we keep the grief group separate. Okay, Sass? All right. Thanks, guys. See you in a few minutes.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.